Alright, hi everyone. Um, I don't really want to say too much in terms of intro for this. I just want to be clear that I'm not going to be having much in terms of visual for this. This is more of like a kind of a second monitor viewing video. You just kind of put this on the background while you're doing something else, and in case you're looking for any game recommendations or anything, this will probably be the place. I played 77 games in 2025. And I'm pretty sure I'm not going to complete any more in the next 3 days, so I'm pretty comfortable with putting this list now. But yeah, I'm going to talk about all 77 games I played this year. I'm going to just do them in order of which I played them, not necessarily in quality order or anything like that. Just so you guys kind of realize it's not like a best to worst or a worst to best, anything like that. It's literally just the order I played them from January up until now. As of recording the 28th of December at 10 past 4 in the afternoon. So yeah, all that's going to be on the screen is just going to be like trailer footage for whatever game it is, along with my score. I will also say my score and the title for anyone interested. As I say, I pretty much only played pretty good games this year. I did play a couple of stinkers, which I'll touch on, but for the most part, it's mostly good stuff this year. I'll try to make it clear what I think the best games of the year are, and obviously each of them will have a score out of 10. So I'm hoping you guys just get some entertainment out of this. I had a lot of fun this year playing a lot of games. I kind of recovered from a League of Legends addiction earlier this year. Haven't played it much this year at all, so I've just been banging out a lot of single player games, and I'm hoping I can do the same in 2026. Yeah, so without further ado, I'm just going to get straight on with things, so I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so to start this year off, I finished Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition. Now, you're going to find out as this list goes on that I'm kind of a checklist gamer. I do quite enjoy an open world game where there's a lot of stuff to do and I can just kind of go around the open world and do it. Especially in a game like Horizon, which has like a cool, very nice world to look at and also has like really unique combat and it's I compare Horizon in a way to like Monster Hunter in a way, in terms of like you have to hit weak points and like you can't fight everything the same. It's not like as much as I love the Arkham games, it's not, for example, like an Arkham game where you just kind of go and beat people up. You have to like shoot stuff in every monster or every I can't remember what they're referred to as, but I'm just gonna call it, I guess, creatures, enemies, whatever. Every enemy is like different, so you have to fight them slightly different ways, and they all have weak spots and stuff like that. I'd give Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition 8 out of 10. I actually didn't play the remaster, which I know that they recently released. It's only a tenner to upgrade it, and I just completely missed the boat on that. But I mean, this game was perfectly fine. This is good. But yeah, this is just a solid open world game. If you like open world games, I think this is kind of the game for you. I know that Aloy's kind of received industry plant accusations, which is fair. She's not particularly interesting. The story's alright. It's nothing. I find in a lot of open world games, I don't really find myself super absorbed in by the story a lot of the time. But this one like holds my attention to some extent, I guess. It's nothing too exciting, but the gameplay itself feels really good. The world is cool to navigate around. The parkour feels good. The combat feels good. So all the important stuff, I think, this game nails, and it feels good to just kind of wander around and do the checklisty stuff. But I am kind of averse to a checklist game, I think. So maybe take my bias into account there. But I still recommend it. Next game I played was Pizza Tower. Now this is easily the best game I played this year. I tried playing Pizza Tower a couple times in 2024 and I just couldn't really vibe with it. I think I was trying to like run through it like a Sonic game, and you're not really meant to treat it like that. Well, I guess you are once you get like good at it, but if you just enjoy it as like a platformer, it's so good, man. This game is just so good. I can't think of a single bad thing to say about this game. I guess the only thing I have to say wrong with it is it's not long enough, because I need more, you know? I need more of this game, but it's still like a decent length for a 2D platformer. The movement feels amazing, the movement feels amazing, the controls feel great, it has so much personality, has fantastic music. I regularly just find myself listening to tracks from this game. I'll probably play one at some point during this video in the background, so hopefully you guys can keep your ears open for that. But yeah, Pizza Tower, 10 out of 10, easy. Best game I played this year, absolute banger. If you like 2D platformers and you somehow haven't played, I know everyone goes on about how good Pizza Tower is, but yeah, if you haven't played Pizza Tower yet and you like 2D platformers, what are you doing? What are you doing? You need to get on this right now. It's so good, so good. Yeah, it's just everything about Pizza Tower is just absolutely fantastic. I really, really, really recommend it, especially if you like 2D platformers. Next game I played was Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom. Now I love the aesthetics of this, and I love just the idea of this game. It's like a 3D platformery, kind of late 90s, very early 2000s kind of game. It has really cool visuals. It has like very Dreamcast looking visuals, which is beautiful. And I love the originality as well. You play as a taxi, and you don't have like a dedicated jump button, so you have to like drive around these levels to collect things. It's such a cool idea, and it is done pretty well. I I didn't love this as much as I wanted to. I think that's I kind of think the problems I have with this game are kind of twofold. You've got the humor, which is like really bad, because the whole joke is that the main villain is just Elon Musk, which sure, like I don't find him particularly appealing or fun either, but like, why are you reminding me of this dude who's kind of lame, you know? Like, why are you just reminding me of this guy in your silly taxi game? Just, I don't know, I just don't want to be reminded that he exists, you know what I mean? It's just a weird thing to put into your game. And I think it's not that the controls are bad, but to do a jump, you have to do like some, I think you have to like boost, cancel, and then do like a, then you have to like cancel it into like a backflip or something. I can't remember exactly what it was because I played this back in January. You have to like cancel a boost to get like a little backflip, and that's the only way you can get elevation. And even after like I played through the game for about 5 hours. It took me about 5 hours to beat. I still didn't quite have 100% grip on like how to do everything, and you can definitely break it open a lot if you really want to put the time in and stuff like that. I can tell that this game has some movement tech that I just wasn't really getting. It's just still a really solid game though, despite my moaning. This is really cool. It is fun to play at the end of the day. It's fundamentally a really fun game. It's really original. It looks really nice. And this is what being an indie game is all about. This is easy 7 out of 10. Recommend this if you like any 3D platformer at all, really. And even if you don't, I think you'll just get a kick out of this being so different and interesting. Next game I beat was Alice Madness Returns, the 2011 action-adventure beat-em-up, hack and slash kind of thing. This is one of the, like, this has probably some of the best art direction I've ever seen in a game, especially considering this game came out in 2011. It still looks good in 2025, like really good. And that is just due to the art direction being so nice. Every area looks so distinct, so like it just looks awesome. It's a very visually interesting game, very nice to look at all the time. Not just due to graphical fidelity or anything, but just because the areas are so interesting and everything about them looks really creative and everything like flows into. It's just really cool. And the gameplay itself, saying all that, the visuals are nice, but the gameplay itself feels really great as well. Yeah, it has some basic platforming, which is fun, but it can be a bit annoying. I think it struggles on higher frame rates. I have this sometimes with older games, because just to clarify, I played pretty much every game on this list on PC. I think there might have been a Switch game or two, but for the most part, I played every single game on PC. So sometimes older games struggle with newer hardware, like on higher frame rates, like physics start going wrong and stuff like that. So I think I had a couple of problems with that, I seem to remember. But the combat is actually pretty good in this game. It's not deep, but it's deep enough to where you have a couple of different ways to optimally dispatch foes, and then it chucks in different types of foes that you kind of have to juggle fighting around at the same time. And there's some pretty dark themes in the story, I remember as well. I think that some of the story is a bit weirdly presented, and it doesn't always get told very clearly sometimes. Maybe that's intentional, but I do think this is a really, really solid game. I give this an 8 out of 10. Yeah, it's just really cool. It's just a cool game, Alice Madness Returns. Honestly, like if you like the kind of action adventure-y platformer kind of genre that you don't see as much anymore, you kind of saw it a lot more in like the PS2 kind of era. But this is a really solid entry into that kind of genre, I should say. I really recommend this if you like that sort of thing. It's really, really interesting visually, but also has a solid gameplay to go along with it. So that's you know, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. As long as the game is fun, who's to judge, you know? Next game I played was The Messenger. Now this is really cool. This game is awesome. I give this an easy 8 out of 10. I might even, honestly, I'm considering giving it higher, but I'm still happy with an 8 out of 10 at the moment. This has like some really, really great feeling 2D platforming. I love me a good 2D platformer that just feels fluid to play, and this just feels, oh, beautiful. Yeah, no, this game feels beautiful to play. Like just running through the 2D stages, and then by the second half when it turns into a Metroidvania, I guess spoilers, but I think that's kind of the gimmick of the game, is you go through the game as in a 2D platformer style, and then you and then it kind of fakes that you've completed it, and then you have to do Metroidvania stuff through the levels you've already gone through. Now, I personally have a problem with Metroidvanias. I find myself usually kind of checking out by the halfway mark. The only Metroidvanias I've really gotten through in memory that I can think of are Hollow Knight, just because that game is so good at like rewarding you for getting lost. But this game, it's quite... You don't really get lost because you know the levels already, and there's not like huge amounts of paths to explore that you haven't already like kind of you haven't kind of already seen yourself in a way. It's hard to explain, but it doesn't fall into the regular trappings of a Metroidvania, I guess you could say. But this game has phenomenal music. Really nice visuals, both the newest start, the 8-bit and the 16-bit, they both look brilliant. I wish there was more of the linear platforming stuff, because that is really peak. But the exploration in the Metroidvania stuff is quite good as well. So it's, yeah, it's no big deal really, it's not a problem. This is just a really, really solid platform. It's original. It's actually kind of funny as well, like usually when they... A lot of indie games fall into the trapping of, haha, we're in a game, and that's the joke. But I think The Messenger actually has some kind of funny jokes that are kind of like that, but they actually work. Maybe it's because this game charmed me so much, I was more willing to kind of go along with that humor. But I feel like usually, I find that with a lot of, I find that with a lot of indie games, their entire humor is based around breaking the fourth wall, but not in like a funny or interesting way. They just literally just say up front, "Oh, we're in a game," you know. It's just not. It's not particularly interesting or original. You know, it's just stating the obvious. But either way, Messenger, really solid platformer, really solid 2D platformer and Metroidvania game, and I give this one an easy 8 out of 10. Might even be more, to be honest with you. Okay, so the next game I beat this year was Corn Kids 64, and let me tell you, this is the most N64 throwback game I think I've ever seen. It's got very, very N64-y visuals, and obviously it comes with a CRT filter and stuff. I always turn that kind of thing off, just to be clear. I hate CRT filters and stuff like that. I know it's meant to like make stuff look a bit nicer in terms of the older, like more chunkier graphics and sprite art, but I like seeing the sprite art nice and clean. Maybe I'm just weird, but that's just how I like it. But yeah, Corn Kids 64 is a cool game. It's definitely not as solid as some of the other 3D or even 2D platformers I've played this year, but I did really like the originality on display here, and I like the moves you have here, the dig and stuff like that. I do wish this game kind of had more levels. It has like the training level, then it has the one big collecting level, and then it has the final, like, kind of platformer challenge level. Now, I'm fine with games being shorter, but I kind of wish the big collecting level was split up into, like, 2 or 3 levels, because the one level is absolutely massive, and it can be a little bit disheartening, like, to know you've got so much. It can be a bit hard to keep track of everything you've done and where you've been, and stuff like that. And also, it would have been nice to see more themes kind of tackled it all at once. I do like that they kept the scale small and they kind of knew what they were doing. I still think this is a really fun game, especially if you like old 3D platforms. Like, this is one of the most N64-y platformers I've ever seen. It is cool, and I remember even the the final level, which I thought was going to be quite frustrating, but it's pretty generous with its checkpoints, so you only lose, even if you die, you only lose like no more than like 30 seconds of progress. It's fairly forgiving in that way. And yeah, this is a solid game. It's pretty cheap a lot of the time as well. I seem to remember getting it for like £1 or something. I do recommend this for that price especially. It's worth it. I got a few hours out of it. And yeah, it's just a decent little 3D platformer, to be honest. Yeah, Corn Kid 64 is a solid 7 out of 10 for me. Next game I finished, oh, this is a good one. Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. I've actually played Shovel Knight before, and all the DLC, but I wanted to replay it this year because I had it on my Steam, and I was like, you know what? Been a while, I'll play myself another classic 2D platformer, and my god, this is so good. You know who Shovel Knight is by now. He's like the quintessential indie game, right? Or indie game character, I should say. He's, in a way, I'd say he rushed in, well, he kind of, I wouldn't say he really ushered it in, but he was kind of the vanguard at the front of all of the retro revival kind of stuff we saw in the early 2010s. The middle, yeah, I would say so. When did Shovel Knight originally come out? I need to Google this. Hold on a minute. Okay, it was 2014. Okay, I thought that was a bit late, but no, yeah, I think Shovel Knight just, what a game. What a game Shovel Knight is. You know how good Shovel Knight is by now. If I'm going to be real, I kind of... all the DLC I think is really good. I think that the worst one is Plague of Shadows. I think Plague of Shadows is good, but I think the moves are a bit too specific. I love the idea of Plague of Shadows, and I like how it recontextualizes some of the stuff, and I think all of the DLC, or all the expansions, are so creative in ways that they give you new moves to play with, and like all the backstories for all the different dudes and stuff like that. But Plague of Shadows was my least favourite. Still good. I gave them all kind of individual ratings. Overall, the package is a 9 out of 10. I would give Shovel of Hope, as in the Shovel Knight stuff, that's a 10 out of 10. Easy. It's just so good. Plague of Shadows, 7 out of 10. Spectre of Torment, where you play Spectre Knight, that's a 9 out of 10. And King of Cards, where you play as King Knight, that's an 8 out of 10. But overall, as a package, I'd say that's a solid 9 out of 10. If you love 2D platforms and you somehow haven't played Shovel Knight, please play it. It's just brilliant. It's so fantastic. Really, really great game. Easy recommend to anyone that likes any form of 2D platformer at all, really. Next game I finished was Orbo's Odyssey. It's kind of hard to say a lot about Orbo's Odyssey. I beat it in like about 45 minutes, I think. It definitely feels like the groundwork for something, or like the concept for something that could be expanded much bigger. It has like 2 levels. They're quite short. They're very easy. Has like a boss fight as well, which is a little bit I wouldn't say it's challenging, but it at least makes you think a little bit. But it's kind of hard to grade this one. I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's not bad at all, and I seem to remember it being somewhat cheap. I'm gonna look this up now. Yeah, it's cheap. It's short, but it is cheap. It's cheap and it's short. It's fine. It definitely feels like a concept for something that should be bigger. And you know, I'm down for that. I'd be interested to see where they go with this kind of concept. It's not bad, not amazing, but it's fine. It's, you know, it's an experience. Speaking of short games, the next game I finished was a game called Chairs. I can't remember how I came across this. I think I was just scrolling through Steam and I just saw this come up, and I think it was like less than £1, so I was like, why not? I'll buy this. It's actually surprisingly good. It's kind of hard to explain what it is. You play as a chair and you're just flying through really trippy landscapes and trying to get good times and trying to collect these certain amount of things, and you grind on rails and stuff. It's very hard to explain what Chairs is. It feels like a drug-induced nightmare, but in all the right ways. You can really get into the flow of this, and it actually feels really satisfying. I actually give Chairs a 7 out of 10. It's another really short game. I beat it in like an hour and a half, or maybe even just an hour, because I remember the final level being pretty challenging. But it's definitely a solid game, honestly. It's hard to explain what it is. You can I've hopefully put a trailer up on the screen. You can kind of see what it is, but even then, I don't know if this game has a trailer. Like, it's clearly very low budget, and it's very low key. Even on Backlog, it's hardly had any reviews. But yeah, I would recommend Chairs, honestly, as long as it's cheap. I recommend Chairs. It takes. You can blow through it in an afternoon and have a decent time with it, to be honest. I give that a 7 out of 10. Next game I beat was Call of Juarez. Gunslinger. Now, I've never played any of the Call of Juarez games before. I think this is meant to be like the best one, from what I'm aware of, or maybe there's another one that's meant to be better. But I played this one, and I thought it was, honestly, it was kind of average. It it has a very distinct, it's very stylish. I do like that, and I like the dueling mechanic is cool, and it has really good voice work as well. Very cool voice work, and it, as I say, it has very distinct. It's very stylish, very distinct visuals. I like. It's kind of comic booky in a way, and it has a dueling mechanic which is cool, but it's definitely suited for a controller. It feels very wrong on mouse and keyboard, and mouse and keyboard is how I like to play first-person shooters. So it feels a bit weird doing that. It's also fairly short. I think I beat it in like 4 hours. It's alright though. I give it like a 6 out of 10. It's not bad. It just doesn't do anything particularly exciting. And I'm not really a Wild West enjoyer. I know a lot of people really like cowboys and that kind of genre of shooter and genre of, you know, things in general. Not really my thing. I've never really seen the appeal of cowboys all that much. So yeah, it's 6 out of 10. Not bad. Just nothing to write home about, as they say. Next, I played Destroy Humans 2 Reprobed. It's okay, this one. I have a lot of nostalgia for the original. I love the first 2 Destroy Humans games when I was quite young. Probably a bit too young to be playing them, to be honest. Yeah, they're pretty nostalgic games for me. Destroy Humans 2 Reprobed is fine. It's a really easy game, except for the final boss. I just remember the final boss being a pain in the ass. But everything else is like super duper easy. And like the open world in this one, it just kind of, especially like in the last couple of missions, like on the moon and stuff, it just kind of feels like everything's getting in the way. The open world doesn't really serve anything. Yeah, it's alright, this one. It's okay. I give it like a 5 out of 10. It's alright. But it doesn't really do much to justify an open world. You've got stuff to find and that. I don't know. It's okay, this one. It's alright. It's not bad. It just doesn't do anything particularly exciting. So yeah, 5 out of 10 for that one. I can't really recommend it unless you really like the original and want to play it again. But besides that, nothing really going on. Next game I finished was Severed Steel. This was a very, very short game as well. I think they beat this one in like 2 hours. But my god, you can tell this was made by someone who just loves first-person shooters. It feels so good to slide around and vault over and dive through the air in bullet time and destroy parts of the environment. This was like fully destructible environment, stuff like that. It's just so... You feel like an actual action hero in this film. You feel like an action hero in this game, and in all the right ways. It's so cool. This game just makes you feel cool. This is one of those. If you've ever played Neon White, that game is very good at making you feel really cool, and this is good at that as well. You just fly around in slow motion. You get headshots. You get the score multiplier going up. It's just awesome. This is an awesome game. This is 7 out of 10. I would give it higher, but it's really short. It's kind of hard to give it much higher than 7, but it's really solid stuff, especially if you like first-person shooters. You can tell this is made by someone who also loves FPSs, and it's got cool OST as well. I seem to remember. I think there's like it's been a while, but it has like DMB techno-y kind of vibes, I think. But yeah, just good fun. This one, just good fun. Next game I finished was Buckaroo. Now, I really wanted to like really love this game, and I don't. I think it's good. I think it's very good, but it just misses out on a couple of important things to keep it from being great. I do love how this game is like a big love letter to Japanese culture and like history, and one of the collectibles in this game is you just find this little poo guy. He's literally a little yellow poo, and every time you find him, he gives you an interesting fact, and some of them are genuinely like quite interesting. And I've like some of them have like lived in my subconscious since I beat this game. Yeah, I do like how a lot of the levels were like really distinct. I remember there's like a water park level. There's one where you're on like a construction site. This is a cool game, but it has like transformations, but the transformations don't really feel very deep. They don't really feel like you do anything. And the combat in this game is like it's a cool idea because you have like 2 like drum sticks and you use one trigger for each stick. They don't really affect anything. You can't combo them together. I think all this needed was like a combo system or like a combo meter just to give you that extra little number to keep the positive feedback loop going. Honestly, a guy like me would fall for that. I would I would probably boost this up to like an 8 out of 10. But this is a 7 out of 10. It is a big thing about this as well is it goes on slightly too long. I think this could be probably 3 or 4 levels shorter and it would be a better paced game for it. I think it overstays its welcome just a tiny bit. But it is a cool game, and if you like, it's like easiest thing to compare it to is like something like a Super Mario 3D World. It's just not quite as polished or as good as that, but that's the kind of genre of game it is. It's like a 2D platformer but in 3D. But if you like that sort of thing, I would recommend this. It's a 7 out of 10. This is a solid stuff. Solid stuff indeed. Alright, so the next game I beat was Coromon. This is basically it's just a Pokemon alike. Obviously, there's quite a few of these because we all know that Pokemon hasn't been good for quite a while, guys. Yeah, now this game's all right. It's not very deep. I remember it only has, I think, how many is it? 7 typings, and everything is monotype. So you can't. You have to be with your team building. You have to, like, as soon as you get a water type or whatever that you like, you can't then get another water type because everything is going to be monotype, right? Like at the very least, if you in Pokemon, you can have like a Lotad and like a Swampert or something like that. Or like a Ludicolo and a Swampert, I guess, because they both have different secondary typings, so they can provide different value in some ways. But this one, no, everything's monotype, so it restricts your team building quite a lot, because you're trolling if you double up. It does have some cool designs. I remember the water type starter, in particular, really cool. It's like a shark that gets all big and buff. He looks really cool. The story is, I don't remember much about it, to be honest, but I remember it being cool, and it has difficulty options. I do remember it having interesting difficulty options to try and up the challenge a little bit, because obviously in Pokemon you just heal or just go straight back to a Pokemon Center and keep walking, you know. But it has some source. It's nothing too exciting, but it's decent. It's a 6 out of 10. It's okay, Coromon. Cult of the Lamb is the next game I finished. This is cool. I liked the combat, and I like the combat in this game. It's quite easy, but I do think it's quite cool. The art style is really nice as well. I remember the visuals being quite pretty. I don't really like colony sim types, like stuff like Animal Crossing and stuff like that. So a lot, probably about half of this game, maybe a little less than half, is the colony sim stuff. I don't really like stuff like that, and that is my least favorite part of the game. But overall, as an overall package, this is really solid. You know, I like action roguelikes. I like me a hack and slash beat 'em up type of game, and it nails that. To be fair, that stuff is really solid. On the sound as well, I remember the sound design in this game being excellent. Really good stuff, and I like the silly, some of the darker undertones. Obviously, of these really adorable. I know that's kind of the joke, but I do enjoy that sort of thing. But I think it's a little easy. I beat it. I seem to remember not having that much trouble beating it, which is, I feel like it could have maybe been a bit tougher, or maybe gone on a bit longer. I know you have like post-gamey stuff, but I was happy calling it beat after I did the main like 4 things and the final boss. So this is a 7 out of 10. It's a good game. It's a solid game for sure, especially if you'd probably get more enjoyment out of it than I did if you like colony sims. I don't really at all, not really my thing, but some people like that sort of thing, so by all means. Next game I finished was South Park: The Stick of Truth. This was really cool. This feels like a really, if you like the show especially, you'd love this, because this just felt like a really long episode of the show. But my god, this game is outrageous. And there is some crazy shit that happens in this game. And it's also really easy, this game. I remember this game being super duper easy, because it gives you, one of the characters it gives you is Butters, and he gives you him right at the beginning, and he's very clearly like the best character in the game, and he just like solos everything. So I think it could have had a bit more of a difficulty, maybe a bit better of a difficulty curve and stuff like that. But you know what, it's fun and it's funny, and it's well written. If you like South Park, you'll like this game, and I like South Park, so I like this game. So South Park Stick of Truth gets a 7 out of 10. Next game I beat was Wavetail. Now I did enjoy this quite a bit. because this game has some really satisfying movement and really nice vibes, as it were. Very nice atmosphere and vibes. It feels like you're kind of in a dream. You're kind of floating through a dream a lot of the time while you're surfing around and you're kick flipping off big half pipes that are in the world. I think something like this you can really get a lot out of in like a sequel. If they make one, I'd like to see them expand the combat and the platforming and stuff like that, because it has so much. They've got the movement down, they've got the world kind of down. I would like to see them make a sequel where they expand on the combat, because the combat is super duper basic, and maybe have some platforming challenges or some like where you're being chased or something like that. It has some really cool ideas. I still really enjoyed what it gave me, but I think you can just push a little bit more into this, or like squeeze a bit more out of this, and you would actually get like an amazing game. But so far, Wavetale, still a 7 out of 10. Really solid stuff here. So I would recommend this. It's cool. It's hard to explain what it is, but it's just a cool experience. I beat it all in one sitting, which really helped. I think this is the sort of game you should beat in like one sitting if you can. It took me about 3 hours, I think. So yeah, I recommend this. This is really cool. Next game I beat was Slayers X Terminal Aftermath Vengeance of the Slayer. Now, this is an okay boomer shooter. I know a lot of people said this is like lore relating to some other game. I can't remember. It's like some game where you play in like a browser or something. I forget. I might put it up on the screen if I remember to edit it in. But this is alright. This is just quite a basic boomer shooter. I do like the very over the top 90s aesthetic and stuff like that. But it doesn't really have that many enemy types. And the big thing with boomer shooters is you've got to have enemy types that complement each other and provide you with different ways to play out fights depending on what you have to deal with. And I remember the enemies in this game having like really annoying sound effects, and like not in a, well, I think it's meant to be funny, but when you're actually playing it, it's like, oh, this is actually just really like annoying. So it's not very fun in that sense. It's alright. I remember this game also being super duper short, but it's okay. As a boomer shooter, you know, if you like boomer shooters, then you'll probably like this. As I say, it's nothing too exciting, but it works for what it is. So I give this one a 6 out of 10. Now, staying on the topic of boomer shooters, next game I finished was Shadow Warrior Classic Redux. Do you say it as Redux? I've never actually thought about this. I've never said it out loud. Is it Redu or Redux? Whatever. Shadow Warrior. I've not. This is like one of the big three of the old boomer shooters, along with Blood and Duke Nukem 3D. But this one was pretty good. It's definitely aged a little bit in terms of its dialogue and stuff. There's a little bit of cultural appropriation and racism, which isn't altogether particularly well aged. But anyway, the actual gameplay itself, it's pretty fun. I remember liking the weapons a lot. I remember the shotgun was awesome. And some of the levels, as classic boomer shooter stuff, some of the levels can be a little obtuse at times. But I think I only need to look up a guide like once or twice. And for a boomer shooter of this kind of time, I'd say that's pretty good. This is like mid 90s, I think this game originally came out. So yeah, it's pretty overall fairly accessible, I would say. And I like that it has like cool little innovations with the build engine, because obviously this is early into the build engine's life. Hold on, when was the original? Yeah, the original Shadow Warrior is 1997, so you can see some really cool little innovations, like the vehicles and stuff. I remember getting into like a vehicle, and I was like, oh, this is sick, like, I've never really done anything like this before in a build engine game. So yeah, it's cool to see them, like, you can see them innovating a little bit. I can see why this is one of the big three, because it's definitely got its own distinct style and flair. It's got cool weapons, and it's got cool levels and stuff like that, and that's all you can ask for, really, in a game like this, especially for, like, it being a bit older. It's aged pretty well, I would say, in terms of the gameplay department, just not in terms of its attitude towards certain groups of people. But I'll still give this one a 7 out of 10. Just turn the dialogue volume down, I think. Next game I finished was Omori. Now this was pretty good. This is very much an Earthbound-alike. I've actually never beaten Earthbound. I've only ever played the first couple of worlds of Earthbound. or the first couple of towns, I suppose you could say. But this was cool. I like that you can tell there's something going on, and I was very much looking forward to what that was, and I think that kind of kept me on the hook the whole way through up until when it finishes and you kind of figure out. And it's a very cool reveal, actually. The way it's revealed is really cool because it doesn't fully like babysit you through it. You kind of have to piece it together one thing at a time, and it is cool in a way what's going on. It can be a bit upsetting, so trigger warning for that, I suppose. But not just the story, but the gameplay itself is really cool because I like how the majority of it is just kind of a little adventure with your friends. You know, you're just chilling, you're just hanging out, and you're just going through these slightly fantastical worlds, and you're just having a nice little time. And the graphics are really nice. The music is awesome. This one has some really good tunes as well. And the combat system is cool. Yeah, it's got a good solid combat system. It's nothing too special, but it's cool. I like the idea with the emotions and stuff like that. It's a really cool idea. This is a cool game. I give this an 8 out of 10, and it's probably higher if you like JRPGs. I don't really love JRPGs, but I like this one. This one was good. Probably helps that it had more of a dark kind of tunes, and I think it's made by a Western developer anyway. But no, this is good stuff, Omori. It wears its inspirations loudly and proudly, but it does something different with it, and the story is really cool and interesting, and yeah, it's good. It's good stuff here. Next game I finished was Resident Evil 4, the remake. Now, I've never played through all the way the original Resident Evil 4 before. I've played through up until I think like the first couple levels of the original Resi 4, but I never finished it. That was when I was younger. I've played this now, and holy shit, this game is amazing. This is an easy 10 out of 10. This is the second or third best game I played this year, I think. This is just great stuff. I don't tend to love survival games, and I'm also usually not good with horror, but this game isn't that scary, to be fair. It's a bit more... I don't know, I don't really find this game particularly scary. I don't think it really tries to be scary that much. But the shooting in this game feels great, and it's so good at putting you in that little sweet spot of... you never feel like you have too much, but you always have just enough. It's so good. The balancing of the difficulty in this game is just tremendous. I just couldn't believe how, even when I go into fights, I'd feel like, okay, I've got loads of stuff here. I'm well equipped. I'm gonna have so much ammo left, and then I'd finish the fight. I don't know if it spawns more enemies depending on how much ammo you have or anything like that, but the way I would finish a fight, and I'd always have just about enough left, and then before the next fight, if I explored enough, I would have just about enough to get me through the next fight. It was beautiful stuff here, and it's really, really nice visuals as well, because it's the remake. They put the extra effort into putting lots of nice visual flair and everything. Really fun voice. It's got quite an interesting tone, because the way Leon talks like a Marvel protag, but in a good way, in a nice way, because this was obviously before any of that anyway. But it keeps the tone light enough to where you never feel... It's just good. It feels like a cheesy kind of 80s action horror kind of film, like an Evil Dead or something like that, I suppose. Everything is just so good. It's just so well paced, and it's easy to play and pick up, and this is just a great game. I understand why they remade it, and I understand why everyone says this is the best Resident Evil. Now, to be fair, I've never played any Resident Evil besides this one. Oh, and 6? Biohazard, I think that was 6. Either way, 4, just fantastic. No, sorry, 7. 6 is the bad one. 7. 4. This game, amazing. Really great stuff here. The next game I finished was Death's Door. I actually played this through on my Steam Deck. This is pretty good. This has really good atmosphere. It has awesome music and really cool visuals. You're playing as like a crow with a big sword. That's awesome. That's a really cool idea. Unfortunately, the gameplay is good, but it's kind of basic. It doesn't really have the sauce. I don't really know how to describe it, but there's no sauce here. Where's the damn sauce, you know? It is still good though. It feels good to dodge stuff and attack stuff and all that. I feel like if they had just something else, I don't know what. I'm not a game designer, you know. But I feel like if this game had just a little more, it would be a slam dunk of a game. As is, it's solid stuff. It's a 7 out of 10. But I recommend this if you like the idea of killing stuff as a sword-wielding bird. It's solid. It's good. The next game I finished was Spark the Electric Jester 3. Now, this game is really, really fun to play, for the most part, but my god, the plot in this game is the most cringe-inducing, nonsensical, bizarre, like, just, what am I witnessing? I would recommend just skipping every single cutscene in this game, and I also recommend, bringing all the combat difficulty down to easy. I think a lot of the combat in this game is pretty bad. It's pretty bad, but the rest of the platforming and the running about feels amazing. It still mogs anything, pretty much everything the Sonic team have done in the past 20 years outside of like Sonic Generations. Just skip the cutscenes, turn the combat difficulty down. This game is really fun. But please don't watch those cutscenes. They are incomprehensible nonsense. Very clearly someone's Sonic OC who they've had way too much of a budget for, and he's smashing his action figures together and expecting us all to like really pay attention to the lore. It's nonsense. It's utter nonsense. So don't bother. But the actual platforming and stuff like that, really cool. Really good sense of speed in this game. Yeah, this is a 7 out of 10 for sure. The next game I played was RoboCop Rogue City. RoboCop Rogue City. It'd be nice if I could pronounce the title correctly. This game, it's not amazing in terms of its actual like gameplay loop and stuff like that. It's fairly basic FPS stuff. You have some powers and stuff which does spice up the gameplay a bit, and this game does make you feel like you are RoboCop. You feel big and lumbering and strong, and you do a lot of damage. You can grab dudes and throw them, and this game, you can feel the devs have a ton of heart, and they wanted this to feel like RoboCop, and it does. And I really respect, you can feel the heart that they put into this, and I respect that a lot, and I think that does really bring it up. Yeah, it is good, this game. The boss fights are bad. The boss fights are pretty bad, but a lot of it just feels really, really solid. I like that you can do like side missions to solve crimes and stuff like that. This does feel authentically very RoboCop, and I feel like the dev team did a fantastic job of making you feel like RoboCop in this game, to the point where I will give this an easy 7 out of 10, and I will not even think twice. Even if some of it is a little basic, I do think RoboCop Rogue City, especially if you like the film, well, any RoboCop property, I guess, I would recommend this. It's a solid game, for sure. Next game I played was Mage Seeker, a League of Legends story. This was bad. This is, I feel like this is the first game I've talked about today that I did not think was very good at all. I give this a 3 out of 10. This game starts off quite good, and I think the story is pretty good and the characters are pretty good, but that every time you actually have to play the game, it sucks. The combat you feel weak. There's like hardly any combos. You get combos by bringing certain people into the field with you, which I understand the idea of, but it just doesn't work. Why would you not just give me a skill tree that I get access to as I unlock the characters, like in my base, that I can like buy with some sort of currency, or encouraging me to do the loads of side missions that you give me for some reason. Yeah, like, I don't know, I love me a hack and slash beat 'em up, so when I play a bad one, it feels bad. There's a lot of this is like walking through a corridor to the next arena, and like the game looks nice, and I think while the game is presented nice and the story is actually pretty interesting, and I wanted to know what would happen in the story, and some of the boss fights are pretty cool as well, which is interesting, because usually in games like this where I hate the combat, the boss fights feel awful, because I had that with another game I played this year, but I'm not going to talk about it because I didn't beat it. But it feels like this game didn't really have a direction, when they were making it. They had a few different ideas, and they all kind of felt half committed to, and what we ended up with was this. You have like this spell system, but it feels awful to use because you have to lock on using the right stick. But I'm playing a top-down beat 'em up, so why would I want to use the right stick? I don't want to take my fingers off the buttons, off the face buttons, because I'm trying to beat people up, man. You know, like what are we doing with this? And the controls don't feel that responsive either. And like as I say, the combos, you only get one extra combo per person you bring with you, and you can only bring one person at a time from what I remember, or maybe two. But why didn't they just make a skill tree? Having a skill tree would make it so you feel like you're progressing through the game and you get stronger as the game goes on, and then you can actually like have a difficulty curve, which makes sense. Yeah, and like the magic feels awful just having to, because I wanted to like this game because I like Silas as a character from League, and I really liked Song of Nunu. If you want a good Riot Forge game, I think Song of Nunu is probably the best one, because I did play another one, and I'll talk about it later, but Song of Nunu is an easy 7 out of 10. That's a good game. I'm not going to talk about it today because I played it last year, but if you want a little bonus review for you, play Song of Nunu. That's a cool game. But yeah, I don't know, this game is crap. It's a shame. I think this game also would have been helped a lot by having voice acting. Having no voice acting in this game feels absolutely bizarre. It's hard to explain, but like cutscenes and that just feel really empty without voice acting and stuff like that. And it's a real shame. The story and the graphics, good, really good stuff. And even the boss fights can be pretty cool, and they have cool moments, but the rest of the game just feels crap. This is a 3 out of 10, unfortunately. I'm going to move swiftly on to another really great game that I played this year. Now, this is actually the first game I played after I got my new computer. I wanted to play like a big game, so I went with Ghost of Tsushima, the director's cut version. Now, you remember me mentioning earlier that I like a checklist game, and my god, this is a checklist game. This is a checklist game, but my god, what a good one it is. The combat in this feels amazing. People love calling stuff parry slot, but people are just boring, man. Like, this game feels awesome. I love switching between stances depending on what they're using. And also, this is an open world game. I don't have this a lot. I mentioned this earlier. Open world games plots, they rarely stick with me that much. This game's plot I haven't stopped thinking about. I guess you could say it's kind of basic in a way. It's like a revenge story, kind of. But, oh god, that, especially the last third of the story, oh god, right before, I was crying real tears in the final boss fight, man. Oh my god, I was crying real tears were running down my face. What a game this was. And I love, I have so much good stuff to say about this game. I love Ghost of Tsushima, man. I would still give it a 9 out of 10, just to be clear, it's a 9 out of 10. It does have some weird flaws, like sometimes you'll see like standard open world jankiness, like people just standing in the air and stuff like that, weird stuff like that, which isn't enough to bring it up. But are some other more pervasive things which actually protrude into the actual gameplay itself. It's like weird elevation issues when it comes to combat. I remember like if I'm standing on a rock or something just slightly elevated above someone, Jin suddenly can't lock on to like anything. Like I'm trying to swing my sword and he's just swinging at nothing. It just goes through people. It struggles with weird stuff like that, which can actually break your immersion pretty heavily. And you can argue that you can just use the smoke bombs, which make stealth and combat a little too easy, but I didn't use that because I knew that would kind of break the game, which, you know, is fair enough. I think a big part of this, what makes this game so good as well, is the open world obviously looks beautiful. It's, you know, feudal, I think feudal Japan. Sorry if that's the wrong era of history, but I'm just going to call it that because I'm ignorant, I guess. But I spent a lot of time in the photo mode for this game because you're actually really encouraged to look at the environment because of how it doesn't like have a big map with a big line or a big objective marker on it. It just, you follow the wind, you look for which way the wind is going, so you're forced to look at this beautiful world. And I spent so much time in photo mode for this game. If I still have them on my desktop, I might just start chucking them up as like some of the photos I took. But my god, man, this game is so good, and it gives you like a little bit of customization with the charms and stuff like that. The stealth felt really good. The combat feels amazing, and it feels very. Remember, it felt very movie-esque, like the way that blood would like splatter as you slash someone and stuff like that. And it's just, this game is just so good. If you like open world games, you need to play Ghost of Tsushima. This is just fantastic stuff. I'm really glad I played this. This is brilliant, really brilliant. As a big checklist gamer, this is a good-ass checklist game. Okay, moving on, because I could gush about Ghost of Tsushima all day. But next up, I played Ion Fury, which is another boomer shooter. This is more of a throwback boomer shooter, because this is made in 2019, this game came out. I really like this game is very charming. I really like the voice acting on the main character. I forget her name off the top of my head, but she does a really good job. The main voice actor, she does a great job. And it's got a really good sound design. The weapons feel great to use, and the way the enemies explode into squishy chunks in like really squishy, visceral sound effects feels really awesome. I do think some of the levels have kind of weird moments where you're like, where the hell am I supposed to go? A couple times I remember getting a little bit lost, not super lost, but a little bit lost. But for the most part, it flows pretty well, I would say. And it also doesn't do a ton to stand out from like other boomer shooters, especially nowadays when there's quite a few of them. It's kind of a resurging kind of genre. It doesn't do a lot to distinguish itself. I remember it had a pretty cool final boss, and they're usually pretty bad in games like this. This one was quite cool. It did something different. It doesn't really have any like super out there weapons that I remember using. It's good, but it's quite standard. And it I remember it having shitloads of secrets, and like to the point where it's just kind of ridiculous. I seem to remember seeing a clip of someone, they picked up a broom from like one side of the map and put it somewhere specific so they could jump on it to get into like this tiny hole which hid like 3 more secrets. Like I think like when you're going that far to disguise your secrets, it just kind of gets a little bit silly. But like at the end of the day, they're secrets, right? Like, you don't have to go through them. This is still a solid game. I give this a easy 7 out of 10. If you like boomer shooters especially, you'll really get a kick out of this, I think. The next game I finished was Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I'm a little divided on this one, between whether to give it a 7 or an 8. I actually ended up giving it an 8 out of 10 after much deliberation. I've changed it a few times, but I think I'm going to stick with an 8. But it's at least a 7 out of 10, so either way, it's a solid game. I love the Ratchet & Clank series. I actually haven't played any of the PS3 ones, but I've played all 4 of the PS2 games many times. I like all of them very much. This game definitely doesn't have much of a story, but they don't ever really, I suppose. But the gameplay, classic Ratchet & Clank. It's brilliant stuff, and it's really big thing with the Ratchet & Clank games is there's always so much going on, and the game never drops a frame. That's still the case here. It's a really good looking game. Everything's going on all at once, and the combat just feels brilliant. But I don't know if this is a PC issue, but there were some really weird bugs in this game. Sorry, I just realized I've been talking for like an hour, so I just needed like a minute to kind of stop for a second, have a drink, and have a snack. So I hope you guys are enjoying so far, me talking about stuff. I've still got quite a few to go, so yeah, I'm only up to May, so only barely halfway through the year so far, so hope you guys are enjoying. Hope you guys are not just watching this as your primary on your primary monitor. You should be doing something else while I'm talking about this. But anyway, this game really solid. Quite buggy. I remember it happened in like one of the first levels. It's like Ratchet would like appear like he was falling, but I was on the ground, but he was like falling, and then he would just start splash. Like it would like make a splash sound, and then he would go back into the air. It was really weird. Yeah, and he would keep like appearing and then yeah, it was very strange, and it happened on another one of the planets as well. Turns out you can solve this bug by just chucking yourself off the map, but it was still kind of immersion breaking, a little bit weird. And also, I remember some of the weapons being a bit lame. I think there's like 3 weapons which just summon little guys to fight for you. Like I'm down for like a turret creating weapon, but 3 of them, don't know about that. I don't know. That's especially because the big appeal of Ratchet & Clank is the massive variety of weird weapons you get. To be fair, there's been like 100 Ratchet & Clank games, so it's hard to come up with different ways to kill things, but 3 different ones that throw out little goobers that fight for you, I don't love that. And also, this game is kind of short. I got everything, 100%, all the achievements and everything in less than 14 hours. It doesn't. I feel like I didn't even need to replay the game to do that. So I didn't really feel a huge incentive to replay the game that much. Was a bit of a bit disappointing, but there was cool stuff here. I liked the skins. I liked both the characters, or both the main characters, I should say, that you play as. But I like this game. It's an 8 out of 10. It's really solid. It's at the end of the day. At the end of the day, if you like Ratchet and Clank, you'll like this. You know, it's really good stuff. The next game I finished was Persona 4 Golden. I definitely didn't like this as much as I like Persona 5, but I think Persona 5 is probably one of the best games I've ever played. That's an easy 10 out of 10 game. This is still good Persona, you know. I like that it can just suck you in for hours at a time without you even really realizing, you know, that when it puts you in that loop of doing stuff day to day, you're like, oh, today I'm gonna go hang out with this character, or today I'm gonna eat from this this noodle bowl to rank all my stats up. Today I'm gonna hang out with this character, etc., etc. That stuff always feels good. It's good to hang out with these characters. The characters are all well written. There's a bit of a weird theme going on in this game. It's like undertones. And it's not handled with the best grace, but then again, this game, the original, came out a little while ago, and it's very Japanese as well, so they're not very progressive when it comes to gay people, as progressive when it comes to gay people in that country, so some of that can be a little weird, but the voice acting's really good, but this is when I was starting to realize that I don't think I like JRPGs that much. I think when you can just like spam, you know, level ups over and over again, and you can just like breeze through everything, and I wasn't very good at Persona 5 either, but I love the story in that game so much, and like I think the gameplay was a little more accessible maybe for a guy like me who's not as big into RPGs. I'm also I'm pretty bad at like understanding how the monster collecting works. I don't think it's ever really explained to you that well in these games. It doesn't really explain to you, I don't know. I feel like the Persona stuff in this game is actually not explained that well. Maybe it's explained in the earlier games, but I've only played 4 and 5, so maybe it doesn't give you as much of an explanation. But I did like a lot that in the difficulty options of this game, you can just make it so it gives you high amounts of XP. So even if you want to grind, you can just make it so you can cut down on the grind by like half, which is really nice. But yeah, no, this is still a solid game. This is an 8 out of 10. This is a good stuff, especially if you like JRPGs, it will probably be higher. But as someone who's souring on JRPGs quite a bit, this is definitely still an 8 out of 10 for me. Next game I finished was Vanquish. I like Vanquish a lot. I remember playing this back when it released, back in actually, I don't think it was 2010, but it was probably like 2012 or 2013, something like that. I played this game back then. This is a really cool game. I love... You know, it's very much a platinum game. This is made by Platinum Games. You can tell because they wanted to do cover shooter, but with a bit of a twist. So there's like arcadey elements. You've got the slide. You've got quite not a small selection, but a set selection of weapons you can use, and you can level the weapons up, which give them better stats and stuff like that. But saying that, I thought some of the weapons were kind of useless. Which is, a few of the weapons are kind of useless, which is a bit of a shame. And it can be kind of hard sometimes, but in a fair enough way, I think. It's challenging in, like, you know, it adds a bit of spice to the game. It makes you actually have to think about what you're doing. And I must say also, for 2010, this game looks really good. There's a lot going on, and it always kind of keeps, it might be because I'm playing it on a more modern machine, but the action is always... it never slows the game down, as in like frame rate wise, and I love the suit, the main character's suit. It looks really detailed, and there's always lots of moving parts on it, and like it changes color and stuff. I think to do with its health and stuff like that, and maybe its ammo as well. It's just I love the suit in this game. You know, I love a masked guy in like a mecha suit. That shit always looks really cool. You know what I mean? But the thing is, this was definitely ahead of its time. In terms of like arcadey kind of style shooters, but nowadays we have more of those. It's gotten a bit worse with time because it has the cover shooter stuff, which it kind of had to have. It was probably like a government mandated late noughties into 2010s kind of thing. You have to have a cover system in your third-person shooter. But now we don't really have that anymore. We just like arcadey stuff. It embraced the arcadey stuff, but now that we have more arcadey stuff that kind of does this better, it's still a really solid game. It was ahead of its time, and it's still a 7 out of 10 game. But yeah, no, this is good stuff, Vanquish. I think you should play it if you like stuff like this. Now, next up, I'll play the Silent Hill 2 remake. This was amazing. I'm kind of a bitch when it comes to horror, and so I struggled to play this game for more than an hour at a time. And I've always heard that Silent Hill 2, the original, is amazing. But I've always been a little bit averse to playing it, just because I know, for one thing, I'm a pussy. But also, I don't really like puzzle games. I don't like puzzles. It's not that I don't like them, I'm just not very good at them. And they just end up making me more frustrated than I am having fun, and it's just sad for everyone, you know? But I'm very glad I played this. I think my friend bought this for me for my birthday or something. So I was like, well, I have to play it now. Holy shit. What a game this is. Yeah, this game was awesome. This game is terrifying at all times. No point do I feel safe. Even when there's like clearly nothing going on, there's always something in the background. Like the sound design in this game is just so good, and that's what does it. You can just hear like something happening, like something crawling around, or something sneaking, or something watching. Oh, so all the times I felt like uncomfortable. I was like very, very scared to keep going a lot of the time. There was points where I literally just had to like stop, stare at my screen for a few seconds, kind of do some breathing, and then continue going. I've heard a lot of people saying the combat in this game sucks. Now, I don't think it sucks. It's obviously not that deep, but I think saying it sucks is kind of silly to say, because you're not a trained fighter. You're playing as a guy. You're literally just playing as a dude, and he's you know, he's not trained in anything. He's just trying to go to Silent Hill to find his lady love, you know. So it feels the combat feels like responsive, and you can actually like, you know, it lets you do what you're supposed to do. It's not supposed to feel like you've got all these options available to you. You're defending yourself. You're not fighting stuff. You're defending yourself. Yeah, so it's just a part of the game which feels fine. The puzzle, I'm gonna be real, I set the puzzle difficulty down to easy because I knew I wouldn't be very good at them. But the puzzles, from what I could tell, they were cool. There was some really cool stuff in there. And I think the themes this game tackles, especially near the end when you kind of realize what's going on, really, you don't really have a game discuss themes like this. I don't want to say much without spoiling it, but the themes that this game tackles, really maturely done, because it's not spelled out for you. You've just got to think about it, and why all this happened, and why James is seeing these things, why James has said this to himself, and why down to why the enemies look like that. And it's just really intelligent, and without being in your face, it kind of explains what happened, but you still need to like think, why did this happen, and why would James do all this, etc. It's really good. It's really mature, really interesting, really just really solid. And it's crazy that all these years later, people still talk about the story in this game, and yeah, because it's just that good. It's just that good. And I think you should play it. I've heard people like hate on the remake. I will say this game is optimized like pig shit. I have a 5080 in my machine, and it was still dropping frames. I had to limit it to 60 FPS to stop having frame drops every like 5 minutes, because you can tell whenever you walk into a new zone that's loaded in. Like, obviously it uses the fog to hide loading and stuff like that, so when you walk forwards, you can just feel a massive frame drop, and you know it's just loaded a bunch of stuff in, which is, you know, that's what optimization is about, is to hide what you're loading. But my god, like, I have a 5080, man. This is a strong computer, and it was still like getting regular drops, so that's a bit of a shame. Apparently it's worse on console, but you know, I don't have a PS5 or anything like that, so yeah, this is just, but like, despite all that, 9 out of 10. Really great game, Silent Hill 2, definitely. And like I think a lot of what gives that to me is just the story and the way it's told, and just the themes it tackles in a very mature, nuanced way. Next game I beat was Fear, the 2005 game. And before I talk too much about this, I just want to say big shout out to the Echo patch. I installed that before I played this because I heard this game struggles with newer machines because obviously, you know, computing has come quite a lot since it came out in 2005. I installed the Echo patch, and that made it so you can run on higher frame rates, and I also made it so the flashlight has infinite battery, which I know sounds like cheating, but you need to understand that you kind of need the flashlight to just be like infinite in this game, especially in the later parts when there's a lot of dark stuff. But like, you can use the flashlight strategically in this game because turning it on will make it so the enemies will detect you and stuff like that. And the horror segments in this game are pretty poorly aged because they're not particularly scary. I know I said I'm quite bitch made when it comes to horror games, especially, but the horror parts of this game just don't hit really. They're not particularly scary at all. They're just like, okay, I just want to get back to shooting stuff now, please. And there's like a story, but it doesn't really make any sense. It makes sense, but it's not like, I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about the story of this game at all. And, you know, it feels like they're trying to do something, but they're not really doing anything. As I was saying, the horror stuff, not so good. The story stuff, not so good. But man, the shooting in this game, holy. This is just a fantastic first-person shooter. People still talk about the AI in this game, and there's a reason. I remember, like, I would be regularly shooting at some dudes, and then I'd try and get another angle, and there's just a guy there. He's trying to flank me. He's doing it quietly. He's, like, crouched down. He's, like, approaching me, so I'm suddenly having to shoot him down, and then his other mates are looking at me from a different angle. It's crazy. I did crank the difficulty up, because on normal, it was a little easy. So I cranked it up to hard, and yeah, it was, like, that perfect sweet spot of toughness. I remember there were some annoying segments with, like, turrets and stuff. I didn't really like those, but like, this is just awesome. The shooting in this game just feels absolutely fantastic, and it also looks really good as well. This game is 20 years old, and it's just got such good, like, I guess it's art direction, or like, everything feels really deliberate. There's like, the lighting looks really good, and then the lack of lighting looks really good. You have to use your flashlight, but you don't want to use your flashlight too much because that means the enemies can see exactly where you are, and then they shine their flashlights at you, so it like blinds you. It's so good. And like, there's physics objects and stuff that like get knocked around, and like when a bullet hits the wall, there's like a big plume of dust that flies out of the wall, it hampers your vision. It feels great. The shooting in this game just feels so good. And you have to be like really deliberate and intentional with what you do, and you have to be careful. It's great. There are some times when enemies will kind of spawn in one spot and they run in a straight line at you, and you just gun them all down, which is why it's a bit unfortunate, a bit immersion breaking. But yeah, and also like the guns, they feel like not real. I've never fired a gun, so I don't know if they feel real. But when you've got the automatic weapons, you have to like shoot them in controlled bursts because the recoil is quite high, so you've got to like stay controlled. It just feels like really, considering this is like this advertises itself as a horror game, this is just a fantastic first-person shooter. It's a bit of a shame that the story, especially the last couple of missions, kind of stick so tightly to the story stuff. Bit of a shame, really, but this is still an 8 out of 10 game, and I really reckon, especially if you like first-person shooters, make sure you install the Echo patch and then play this game. It's awesome. Next game I beat was SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake. Now, I liked this quite a lot more than I was expecting, because I knew it was like kind of using the engine of the Battle for Bikini Bottom remake, and I didn't like that game. I've never played the original, and I've tried playing Battle for Bikini Bottom remake, or Rehydrated I should say, a couple of times. Something about it doesn't work. I think the levels for me, they're just too big and too open, and you feel a bit directionless, and everything takes too long to happen. You're just kind of walking through just long sections of nothing. I don't know, something about Battle for Bikini Bottom did not work for me at all. and I was worried about that happening for this, but I'd bought this already by the time I realized I didn't like Battle for Bikini Bottom at all. And yeah, I really like this. Um, the levels in this feel a lot more linear and structured. It doesn't feel like you're just walking around nothing for ages at a time, and it's pretty easy. And there is like some combat in the game, but like it feels good. It feels good, and this is just a really solid platformer. I like how SpongeBob has become like a platformer mascot in recent years. It's pretty funny. But yeah, no, this is a really solid platformer, 3D platformer. I recommend this one a lot. It's just a good linear 3D platformer. It's not too long, not too short. It's like a 6-hour game. There's more if you want to do the side stuff, but I didn't really feel like doing that. But this is still easy 7 out of 10 for me. This is good stuff. Staying on the topic of 3D platformers, next game I finished was Penny's Big Breakaway. Now this is a really cool game because it has really original moveset, because it features Penny and her yo-yo, and you can use that to swing around and spin and do all sorts. You can ride on it and stuff like that. Now I think, as much as I did like this and liked parts of this, there were some pretty major flaws with this one. The boss fights are terrible. I think the art style, while it is nice to look at, because the camera's fixed, because you use the right stick for parts of your yo-yo, you can't move the camera, so it can make depth perception a little bit of an issue sometimes. And also, you can't rebind any buttons, and I didn't like this because there's one move which you can use for linking combos. It's like a spin. You start spinning, but it's kind of specific too, because you have to use the right stick for it. And the Y button is completely unused. So why can't I use the Y button to use that spin move to continue my combo, you know? Like there's a combo system, and you're encouraged to kind of keep it going, especially through like a whole level, for instance. I don't know if you guys have watched Donkey's video reviewing this, but he tries to do that, and you can see him struggling to get the spin move, and like, just make it so it's the Y button, so I can link it. I can use that to link my combos, and then I think this game would be so much more satisfying if I could easily link the combos with the spin. But besides that moaning, this is really cool. This is a really cool original game. I love the direction they went with this in. It does have a cool art style, despite it having kind of depth perception issues. And I would like to see them kind of tackle a more open kind of platformer for this moveset, because this is the sort of moveset you can be really creative with in like a big 3D space, like a 3D collectathon type. So I would really like them to try this, but as it is now, this is a 7 out of 10. This is a solid ass game. Okay, now this is a game that might be controversial for a lot of people, but I'm probably going to end up going on a rant with this one. The next game I finished was Max Payne 3. Now, I did not think this game was very good at all. I give it a 4 out of 10. I'm going to open with that. This is a 4 out of 10 game. Everyone hypes this game up like it's amazing, but I think Rockstar just have, for some reason, a spell put over a lot of people that make everyone give their games at least 8s or 9s out of 10 regardless. I think they could literally, these guys could release Sonic 06, but there'd be like a hunting minigame or something, and people were like, oh my god, this is the best game ever made, man. Like, okay, I'm going to try and just focus on Max Payne 3 for now, but I just want to get out of my way that I think Rockstar are one of the most overrated developers of all time, potentially. And obviously they do know how to present a game. Like, Max Payne 3 has awesome presentation. It's got great voice acting. It looks very nice. Really great visuals. The characters feel, well, I wouldn't say well written, but they feel kind of real, I guess. The voice acting's really good, as I say. But the gameplay of this game is just the shooting of GTA 5, and the shooting in GTA 5 is bad. You just hold left trigger, it locks onto someone for you, and you move the analog stick up a little bit, and you shoot him in the head. Max feels really heavy, but not like in a good way. He just feels like he gets stuck on everything, because it's so focused on making the game feel realistic, that it doesn't actually concern itself with your gameplay experience very much, as is typical with Rockstar games. They put a lot of cool surface level stuff in the game, but don't actually consider what it'll do for you in terms of gameplay, and it's just there to make the game seem more realistic on the surface, but in reality, no one actually gives a shit if it was in the game or not. Look at the clouds in Red Dead Redemption 2, man. They spent so much development time making all the clouds in that game that you have absolutely no way of seeing in game, or like the top of at least. It's just, sorry, I'll try and keep this on Max Payne 3, but and yeah, as I say, you just get stuck on stuff in this game, and the gameplay just feels shit, really. It doesn't feel very good, and like the way it just increases difficulty is just making every enemy so tanky. I remember I would have like an assault rifle. You just shoot a guy like 15 times in the chest and he doesn't die. It gets ridiculous. It's really, really stupid. And the story also like has like a twist in like the last third, and I've tried to like Google what that means, and everyone else seems really confused by it as well. So the story isn't even good in this one, man. A lot of it is just Max being like, yeah, I gotta protect the girl, which is fair. I understand having a basic plot like that, but then there's like a twist. I can't even remember what it is now, but there's some twist in last third, and as I say, I looked it up on like there was a few different sites that I think of like a Reddit thread and like maybe even a GameFAQs thread as well. People are like, oh, what does this mean? And a lot of people are like, it doesn't really mean anything, it's just not very well written. Like, okay, so everyone says the story of this game is good, and like even people who like the game say that the twist there doesn't make any sense. And like, obviously it's well presented, but every Rockstar game is well presented, but no one actually seems to play these games, because if they did, they realized that the shooting, they've used the same shooting system since GTA 4, and it was okay in that game because that was 2008, and that was the first time we'd seen cover shooter in an open world game like this. But when you've got a game that's just shooting, and the shooting feels shit, then what else am I supposed to say? This is a 4 out of 10, and I will not be hearing otherwise. Thank you. Anyway, enough negativity. Next game I played was Cuphead, and this game is amazing. This is just fantastic. I love Cuphead. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, considering I knew pretty much every boss that was going to happen. Like, I knew all about the game. I've seen plenty of videos on it and stuff like that. Obviously, everyone knows how good the visuals are and how good the music is. I've seen, like, lists of all the bosses and how to beat them and everything. I've just never played it myself. And my god, what a great game this is, man. Holy, it's got so much personality. It's hard. It's quite challenging. I think the difficulty of it is overrated somewhat. I think it's probably hard for ball and gun gamers. But I'd say it's like a reasonable challenge. There are some bosses that are really hard, but I think for the most part it's just kind of it's just hard for like coworkers, you know what I mean? Like NPC coworkers, I think are gonna find this game like impossible. But like for the most part, if it's someone who's a real gamer like me, it's just like a fun challenge. And even despite it being like tough, when you die, you're only losing like maximum 2 minutes progress. These bosses are not long. They take like, at a push, these bosses take 2.5 minutes to beat. So if you die right at the end, you've just got to play the game for 2 minutes again. You know what I mean? And the game just feels so good. It controls it. A game like this has to control well because of the challenge it presents you. It feels great. It feels great. It's just a great game. It's just so good. It's so much personality, great music, great visuals, great gameplay. 9 out of 10 for Cuphead. Easy. 9 out of 10. The next game I finished was a game called Immortals of Avium. Now I remember seeing this game in like some sort. I don't think it was TJ. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think it was TGA. But it was some reveal trailer I saw for it, and I always thought it looked really cool. I had a buddy of mine, the same guy who bought me Silent Hill 2 actually. He told me he played it at some convention, and I think he played like a demo of it, and he said it was shit. And I was a little apprehensive about playing it, but I was like, you know what, a Wizard FPS? That sounds wicked. It sounds right up my alley. I love FPS games. I'm quite critical of them, but I do love. There's a lot of FPSs I really like, and when you're a wizard, that sounds awesome. And you know what? It's okay. It's not. It's definitely not shit. It's not amazing. I think committing to the open world RPG element part of it kind of takes away from the game quite a lot. It's a very good looking game. The environments look really nice. The spell effects are awesome when there's explosions going off all over the place. Even on my mega rig, my 5080 possessing behemoth of a PC, I was still getting frame drops in places. So if I'm getting frame drops on this, I can imagine like this game barely scrapes 30 on like older machines. So that is a bit of a shame. It does look nice, as I say, but it comes at a cost. But I'm just going to blame the Unreal Engine for that one. Everyone knows that the Unreal Engine just sucks. No one can optimize it, and I think people are just forgetting how to optimize games now, which is a real shame. And I do think the story and lore of this game are cool, but my god, the dialogue in this thing. The dialogue. Oh my god. There's literally, and I'm not exaggerating at all, in a single, I promise you this is real, one of the characters literally says, "He's right behind me, isn't he?" This game has like marvelly as fuck dialogue anyway, and it's really cringy, and it's funny that like, when did this come out? 2023? So I think people were even starting to sour on marvelly dialogue in like 2020, 2021. So for a game to come out in 2023 and still have dialogue like that is quite impressive. Impressively unaware, I will say. Yeah, the fact that in 2023 this game still hadn't figured out that Marvel dialogue is cringe is quite sad. Yeah, the dialogue, most of the dialogue in this game is absolutely awful, and I couldn't get over just how bad a lot of the writing was. It's all, you know, smirking, snide remark, quippy bollocks. So I hated a lot of the so. To be fair, some of it is funny and well written. There's the characters that take it more seriously, and they're actually kind of cool. But some of them are just so annoying, which is a bit of a shame. But the gameplay itself, it's all right. It's a functional shooter. You get to choose like different spells and stuff like that, and some of the weapons do feel pretty cool. But as I say, I think having more of an open structure kind of mars the experience because. Yeah, I think if you weren't encouraged to backtrack for everything, I think if you just tighten this game up, you could actually have a pretty solid game on your hands here. But I think wanting to have an open world just kind of takes away from it because I didn't want to do any of the side stuff because I thought the shooting, while it was fine, it didn't feel great. I didn't really feel like doing a lot of the grindy shooty stuff, or the grindy fights and the grindy puzzles and stuff like that. I didn't really feel like doing any of that. So that I think that made me be a little underleveled by the end of the campaign. So some of my spells were a bit weaker. It still felt fine. A lot of it, the bosses, I remember just being just big health bars, which is a bit of a shame. But this game is all right, I think overall. It's kind of hard to recommend. I give it a 6 out of 10. It's all right. It's fine. It's just about above average, but it's definitely nothing too exciting. And it's okay. I think the world is cool. And the visuals are nice, and the shooting is all right, but the dialogue is just so bad. And I think having an open world, this is, you know, I'm saying I like a checklist game, but not always. This one didn't have nice checklist for me, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that part. So yeah, 6 out of 10 for Immortals of Aveum. Not terrible, but nothing too exciting. Next game I finished was Gory Cuddly Carnage. Now, I actually went out of my way to get all the trophies for this game because I really, really enjoyed it. I like a good 3D beat 'em up hack and slash, and this is really cool. And this is really good at doing that. It gives you plenty of combos, cool finishing moves, lots of a good variety of enemies which you need to keep track of. And the platforming in this game also feels really good. I think it's a bit generous because you have a really generous double jump which takes you to a lot of places. But I would like a sequel to this game maybe focus a bit more on the platforming. Maybe you could have like something chasing you or races maybe. Like some of the platforming in this game does feel really good, and along with the combat, the combat just feels great. Yeah, when you just put different enemies that need different things together, and you need to juggle and sort of priorities out. That's what a good hack and slash is all about, and the move set feels great. There's a big spinny move which you can do to like rack up your combo really quickly, and there's cool finisher moves, and this is just a great game, a good sleeper hit, and this is what indie games are all about. You're playing as a little cat, and you just beat up scary looking unicorns with your talking hoverboard. It's a kind of lol XD random, but this is a really good game. Gory Cuddly Carnage, 8 out of 10. Recommend this one if you like a good hack and slash beat 'em up with a bit of platforming elements as well, I suppose. Next game I finished was Little Nightmares. This game was cool. It had really great atmosphere, really oppressive, really creepy. Really good art direction as well, combined with all that, and really good sound design. Yeah, makes the game pretty memorable in that way. And it does literally feel like you're going through like a nightmare that you would have as like, especially as a child, but even now, you know, sometimes you have nightmares that don't make any sense. This does feel like you're going through this nightmare world. It's, yeah, very memorable visuals and stuff like that. The gameplay's alright. The gameplay's fine. It's kind of like I guess a puzzly platformer kind of thing. I did have problems with the perspective in this game. I don't know if that's because I was playing on the Steam Deck. But yeah, I had problems figuring out like where stuff was relative to like the back and front of the room I was looking at, because you're kind of looking through. You're kind of looking into rooms through like the fourth wall, as it were, as if I guess the easiest way to compare it to is like a sitcom of a movie with the empty wall that you're looking in from. That's kind of how the game is structured. So I had a bit of problem with perspective sometimes. I don't know if that's the game's fault or just the fact that I was playing on the Steam Deck, so it's kind of a smaller screen. And I think some of what the game expects from you can be a little like tricky. Because your character's movement is intentionally pretty heavy, which is fine. It's fine for the game to be intentionally like that, but then I feel like some of the like mad dashes you have to get feel like very tight. Maybe I was just doing something wrong, but some of it feels like really. Maybe it's also combined with the struggle for depth perception that I had. I don't know. This is definitely very much a style of a Substance game, but the substance is still okay. The style is very much there, the substance is okay, and it's not too long either, so it doesn't really doesn't take up too much of your time. This is a cool game. 7 out of 10 for Little Nightmares. Next game I played was Mass Effect 2. I played on the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. This is really good. This is really good. I played this as a kid. I like how fleshed out everything feels in this world. This feels like a real world, or like a real universe or galaxy, I should say, I guess. But everything feels really deep and really creative as well. I remember in particular, what are they called? The Elcor. I love the Elcor. They're a race of like these quadrupedal things. They don't really have like faces or anything, but you talk to them, and like they feel the need, because their expressions and their the way they emote is like through really subtle movements and the way they stand and stuff like that. But because other races can't interpret that, they feel the need to say what emotion they are expressing when they say. So they'll say like sarcastic, and then say a sarcastic statement in like a really monotone voice. Stuff like that is really cool, and that has stuck in my mind since like 2010 or whatever, when I first played this game back then. And I couldn't remember their names, but I remember that was their thing, and that is emblematic of a really well realized world and universe, that a race like that isn't even real will just stick in my mind in such a way. But the negatives of Mass Effect 2, they're not much, but I think they do kind of add up into making the game a bit weirdly paced. It's going into the game with all the DLC in. The DLC, I think, kills the pacing quite a lot, because I didn't know what was DLC and what I was meant to be doing as part of the story. And I also didn't know what DLC... It didn't really explain the order in which to do DLC in. So I did one of the DLC missions where you're driving around with, like, the tank thing. And then, but I didn't know how to use it, so I just had to kind of figure it out. And then I did another DLC mission, and it gave me the tutorial of how to use the tank that I'd already used in a previous mission, and it told me how to use everything. And I was like, well, I've already done this, like I already know how to use it. It wasn't bad, but I think it kind of hurt the pacing a lot. I think if I'd played, like, done a playthrough once and then got to do the DLC, maybe, but the everyone knows the writing in this game is good. The shooting feels pretty good as well, especially for like an RPG. The shooting feels great. There's a big selection of powers. You can choose your kind of specializations and stuff, and it's got a good selection of characters, and they all feel well written. You actually can cut off your relationships with some characters because especially in the second half, they start arguing, and you can back up one or the other, so one of them will start ignoring you if you take the other person's side, stuff like that. Actual consequences in RPGs is crazy. But no, this is good stuff. I like this, and this feels like it's such a shame they what happened at the end of 3, and it's such a shame that Andromeda was just a kind of a disaster, because this could be like. This is so well fleshed out. This could have been like the next Star Wars or something. Not quite maybe that big, but like in terms of a world that people really love and love to be a part of, you know. I think this could have really been part of that. So that's a shame that they didn't quite get that off. But this is still I give Mass Effect 2 an 8 out of 10. It's very good stuff. Next game I beat was Kirby and the Forgotten Land. This was very good. It was quite easy. I didn't play the Secret World stuff afterwards because I didn't really feel like playing the game through again with slightly more challenge. I just didn't really feel like doing that. Like the fact that I have to beat the game to get to the part where it feels like a real game made for made for people who aren't 1 year old. I can't really be asked to do all that again, to be honest. This game does do a really good job of translating the 2D gameplay of Kirby into a 3D environment. It literally just feels like a 2D Kirby game in 3D. It's really, really good at that. And it's a really nice looking game, especially for the Switch. It's very, very bright, very colourful. All the enemies look good. All the characters look good. The boss fights are good. But I don't think this game is like excels at anything, and some of the controls can be a bit annoying sometimes. Like I seem to remember when you're Sword Kirby, you press Y, twice, and he does 3 sword swings. And I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not going to play the harder part of this game if it's going to do 3 sword swings when I press the button twice. Like, it doesn't give you the tightness that I feel like I could have had to make the game a bit deeper and make the combat feel a bit more satisfying. Yeah, as I was saying, this game feels like it was made for like 1-year-olds. I died 3 times in the whole in this whole 7-hour playthrough, and one of them was an intentional death to get back to a checkpoint so I could get a secret. And yeah, as I say, the controls feel okay. Obviously, there's no real platforming because you can just fly around everywhere. But I wish the controls of the combat felt a little more precise, because I think that would have pushed this game over into making me want to replay it again to do the harder kind of run. But I didn't really feel like doing that because I was like, this game doesn't feel precise enough for me to do that. But it's still a really solid game overall. This is an easy 7 out of 10. If you like 3D platformers, or if you like Kirby games, this is pretty much a 2D Kirby game in 3D. It's very appealing, very cute. Obviously, it's a Kirby game. There's good stuff here. The next game I played was God of War 2018. I played the PC version. I've played the PS4 version back in 2019, I want to say. Yes, 2019 I last played this game. This is really, really good. It's a really well presented game. Obviously, it's one of the PlayStation over-the-shoulder games. Like, I know people moan that there's too many of them, and I guess there are, but when they're this good, it's kind of hard to be too upset about it, really. The combat in this game feels fantastic. I'm a big mythology enjoyer. I love the original God of War trilogy when you're beating up on all the Greek stuff. So it feels really cool to be beating up on all the Nordic stuff. I'm not familiar with all the Nordic mythology and stuff like that, so it's really cool to see this kind of perspective on it. You know, this more gritty, this grittier world that the God of War universe has always presented, in like a different set of gods and stuff like that. You know, Thor and Odin and all that sort of stuff. It's cool. It's really good, and it's helped that the gameplay of this game feels awesome. The controls are really responsive. All the enemies, like, they have different strategies. This is what I'm saying. You need in a good beat 'em up or a good hack and slash, you need to have different enemy types that kind of demand different strategies and demand prioritizing different. And it's cool because you're kind of controlling two characters at once in this game. So obviously you've got Atreus, or Boy, as Kratos affectionately calls him through pretty much the entire game. You only have direct control over Kratos, but you're kind of controlling Atreus as well, firing his arrows and deciding when to use his special abilities and stuff like that. It does a really good job of making these two feel like a very cohesive unit, and it's really cool. This is just a really, really great game, and it's easy to recommend to pretty much anyone, especially if you like any games at all. I would recommend this too. This is a 9 out of 10 for me. The next game I played was Battlefield 1. Now, the campaign of this I don't think is particularly good. It's kind of buggy, and I'll explain that in a bit. But the multiplayer is still actually pretty active now. The multiplayer is fun, so I'll just say that now. The multiplayer, fun. If you ever feel like randomly playing an online shooter that doesn't really have any stakes, Battlefield 1 I think is a good one to play, because yeah, it feels awesome. It's got really epic. Everything feels epic and massive. Sound design, as always, in this game is great. This game came out nearly 10 years ago and still looks amazing visually. So that's always good. But in terms of the campaign of this game, this game was a 6 out of 10 until I played the multiplayer, because the campaign is okay, but it feels a bit buggy. It encourages a lot of stealth for some reason, which is kind of weird, because the game opens with like this massive epic battle, and it's really, really cool, and it feels like, okay, this is what the whole campaign's going to be like. I'm going to be fighting for my life, like, on the front line, and it's going to be... No. A lot of this game is like stealth sections, which I'd say are pretty ill-advised, because the stealth it's bad. It's not fleshed out at all. And it wants you to use your binoculars a lot, but if you pick something up, you drop your binoculars, but it doesn't tell you that. If you pick up a weapon, you drop your binoculars, but it doesn't tell you you've dropped your binoculars until it's telling you, hey, hold this button to use your binoculars, and you're just not using them. Yeah, so like it wants you to do this to plan out your strategy for your stealth, but then it doesn't let you use the thing to plan stuff out. It's really stupid. But the shooting feels good. The weapons, obviously, I'm pretty sure all of them are historically inaccurate. You have so many automatic weapons, which I'm pretty sure was a staple of World War One. The fact that all they had was like bolt-action rifles, pretty much, and the only time they had machine guns was in the trenches themselves. The big setup, the mounted ones, I suppose. But the shooting feels really good in this game. The sound design, as I say, is fantastic. The movement feels good. And, yeah, there's a lot of weapons, which are not historically accurate at all, but I'm fine with that. You know, if it makes the shooting more fun, I'm all about the game being fun. So, yeah, and that feels pretty good. And the multiplayer is a good fun as well, just to pop in for a little while if you feel like doing that. The next game I beat was Bloodshed. Now, this was really disappointing. When I first saw this get like announced, I was like, oh, this is wicked. It's like a combination of Vampire Survivors and Doom, or like boomer shooters, I suppose. And I was like, yeah, this would be right up my alley. This would be great. But it doesn't really work. It feels like it's missing something. I don't really know what it is though. It's okay. But I think the big appeal of playing like Vampire Survivors is combining all your weapons together and getting so strong you're literally screen clearing all the time, and you build up into basically like God, where it goes from a bullet hell to a bullet heaven, you know, like you're killing everything. But in this game you can only shoot one weapon at a time. It's a first person shooter after all, so you're only shooting one weapon at a time, and like you get you get like random upgrades for your guns, but they don't feel like they really do anything. I don't know, like it's a shame. I can't really place my finger on why this doesn't work, but it just doesn't. It's a real shame, because I wanted to like this. I was really excited to play this, but you can play it for a couple of hours, but it doesn't really hold you further than that. I give this one a 5 out of 10. It's quite disappointing, but that's all I got. The next game I finished was Castle Crashers. I actually jumped back into this because it got DLC. Yeah, it got DLC for some reason where you can like add your own characters and stuff now. So I was like, you know what? I'll give it another go. So I did a playthrough as Optimus Prime. So shout outs to whoever made the Optimus Prime mod or the workshop character because that was sick. This game is good. I love beat 'em ups, but I think RPG mechanics in games like this just kind of drag the game down because instead of you incentivized to use like cool combos and stuff, you just kind of it just gives enemies more and more health as the game goes on to the point where they're so tanky and ridiculous. You just kind of have to have higher stats to have any chance of fighting them. I don't really like that. It just kind of makes it feel like you just have to like the enemy, especially when you've got like one enemy left. You'll just juggle him in the corner using the light jump attack, which is like the double slash. You're just using that over and over and over and over and over again until he dies. There's no real depth there. This game is still really fun, and it's got a lot. It's very, very high on personality. It's got a lovely art style, really nice hand. I don't know if it's hand drawn, but it looks hand drawn. It's very, very distinct art style, very nice personality. It's quite funny a lot of the times. A lot of visual gags in there, which are good fun. And it's fairly short as well, so it doesn't really grate on you too much. But I think it would have been nice to be more focused on having bigger combos rather than just spamming the same moves to just wear someone's health bar down, I think. The next game I completed was Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon. Now, I was not expecting to love this as much as I did at all. Obviously, I'm a big fan of From Software's other work. I love the original Dark Souls. I love Dark Souls 3. I love Bloodborne. I love all of them, basically. I love all those games. They are one of the most consistently great developers of our time, as it were. So I kind of went into this. I've never played an Armored Core game before, so kind of take this as a more casual fan's perspective, I suppose. But this game I thought was so amazing. I was kind of expecting like a solid action RPG, and what I got was like it was polished, it's responsive, it's creative, it's beautiful, it's intriguing, atmospheric. It's just what an awesome game this is. I feel like how the combat in this game goes so deep. You have so many options, and I love the customization you can have in this game. I played through it 3 times in the end because I wanted to get all the endings. And it took me all 3 of those playthroughs to really figure out what the most optimal build was. It took me a little while, but eventually I kind of figured one out. And the amount of options it gives you, it's just crazy. I love how you can change what your AC, like what colors it is, especially on all the different limbs as well. You can really just let your imagination run wild. And I'm a big fan of like mecha and stuff, like big robots crashing into each other. I love that shit. You know, I'm a big kid at the end of the day. I love stuff like that. And I just loved the gameplay of this thing. The story is cool as well. It was cool to have all these different characters, and then especially near the end when the fates of them are kind of hanging in the balance a little bit. That's when it starts getting a little more intense. And at the end of the day, the gameplay to this just feels so good. Especially considering how big and massive they are. They feel so smooth to control. And yeah, everything exploding all the time. The frame rate never drops either. These games are so well optimized. You can tell that, I don't know, this is just great stuff. I love this game much more than I was expecting to, and I couldn't really put it down. I just kept playing it for hours on end, and I just couldn't really put it down. So this is an easy 9 out of 10 for me. Very, very solid game. Next game I finished was Doom Eternal. This is really good. I played this back in 2020 when it first released on PS4. It's crazy to think that's already been out for 5 years. It's a really solid first-person shooter. I definitely do prefer 2016, Doom 2016 that is, because I think that's one of the best first-person shooters ever. But I did think Doom Eternal makes the exploration a lot better throughout the levels, because Doom 2016, when you need to backtrack, oh my god, it can take so long to just walk to every little piece that could be a secret, and to walk. That can get a little tedious. But Doom Eternal, it just kind of gives you a map, and it kind of tells you where stuff roughly is, and you just kind of figure it out from there. You can kind of figure out your way through secrets, and it gives you like fast travel. When you're near the end of the level, it gives you fast travel, so you can just backtrack through the level with no problem at all. You can just teleport there, which is really, really cool. But I don't think the shooting this is still a really good game. I just don't think the shooting feels quite as good because of how you have to constantly swap weapons and stuff like that. And you have a little too much stuff going on, because you've got like, obviously, however many weapons you've got to switch between, and you've got a chainsaw, you've got 2 different types of grenades, you've got the melee punch and the blood punch, I think it's called. You've got the flamethrower, you've got your secondary fire, and you've got the sword as well. Like this. It feels like, sure, it's like an evolution of the 2016 formula, but it just, there's so much you have to keep track of, and it can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes, especially because when you get hit, like, because you're pretty squishy in this game, you die pretty easily, and knowing that, I got a little distracted with, you just get hit once and the HUD suddenly goes really red, and that made me panic a lot, and maybe like play a little more reserved than I should have been, even though I was still like pretty high HP, like I wasn't in danger of dying like next couple of hits. I still, just the flashing red HUD made me think, oh my god, I'm gonna die soon, and I had to physically look down at my HP and be like, oh no, I'm fine. You know, I think that makes things a little cluttered, and because we've got all that stuff, it means the HUD becomes a little cluttered as well. But it's still a really solid shooter, and it's really well paced. It's you know, it's just fun. It is still a really fun game, and it's got really good rhythm to it. Once you're switching between your weapons, and you're swording a guy, and then you chainsaw a guy to get your ammo back, and then you shotgun a dude, and you break his neck with a glory kill, you know. Like, there's a lot to enjoy here. It's definitely not a bad game, despite my moaning about the flaws of a bit too much going on, you know. It's too much of a good thing. It's not too much of a bad thing. So it's still a solid game. This is a big 8 out of 10 from me. Next game I finished was Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Super Mario 3D World, it's just a really good 2D Mario game in 3D. You know, it's colourful, it's creative, it's got the cat suit. The cat suit is really fun. There's no way I start speaking of cats and my cat just decides to arrive on my desk and start stepping around. So, hello, Sunshine. Yes, okay, she'll just be here, I guess. Yeah, it's a Mario game. You know, it's gonna be solid. It's fun. I didn't do the Star Road stuff because I didn't feel like snapping my Switch in half. I didn't feel like testing myself too hard. Because I've played 3D World before, and I just kind of wanted a little refresher, so I gave that a play before I played Bowser's Fury, and then I played Bowser's Fury, and Bowser's Fury was awesome. Feels like a while since I've played a 3D Mario game. Obviously, Odyssey was 8 years ago now. God, and that game was amazing. This game is not as good as that, but it's cool to see like 2D Mario. Like moveset, I guess, in a 3D environment. And it's cool. This game was really cool. It can get a bit annoying when you're just trying to find like the last secret, and then Bowser suddenly spawns and throws fire at you, and you've got to like just wait around a little bit. It's cool sometimes because it adds to it, but when you're literally just trying to find the last cat shine or whatever they're called, it can just kind of be annoying and pain because you need to go find. You usually find a way to get rid of him or just wait around. But either way, it's like, come on, man. Like I just want this one little star. You didn't have to do this to me right now, you know. And I think it's kind of short, this one. I just wish it was longer because I would play this for hours if there was more to do. It's fine for what it is. I'm not saying that being a short makes it bad or anything or makes it worse, but I just wish there was more of it because it's just a really great game. It's really great. This is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is an 8 out of 10. Right, next game I completed this year was Sonic Frontiers. Now I actually have quite a lot of thoughts of this one. This game is not good. It's not good at all. But as I previously stated, I am a checklist gamer, and so I thought a lot of the exploration of this game was pretty fun. I liked running around the world. I liked doing some of the platforming stuff. I like doing some of the platform stuff. I actually like the combat a lot, which is something I didn't expect to say. I thought the combat was going to be horrible when I first jumped into this game, but it was actually, I wouldn't say it's deep, but it's deeper than I was expecting. It gives you quite a few cool options, and considering it's a Sonic game, usually their combat isn't necessarily that deep, is it? So this was cool, and I liked bits of this game, but my god, there are some parts of this game which are just abhorrent. I hate what they're doing with Sonic's voice. Why does he sound like that? If you've played the game, you know it sounds like that. Well, it's because the plot of this game is more self-serious nonsense. Don't know why Sonic fans want this. This is what people who have clung onto Sonic since childhood want. I learned to let go long ago. I've learned to accept that this series just won't be that good anymore. But my God, I hate when they do this self-serious nonsense. It just doesn't work for Sonic, and especially when, like, you're a blue hedgehog, man. The game doesn't need to be serious, for God's sake. It's so embarrassing. It's just, I guess if you're like 12, you'll probably find the plot quite interesting. And if you've never and to be fair, a lot of Sonic fans are like this. If you've never consumed any other form of media that's like good, you'll probably think this is like awesome and this is epic. But no, it's bad. Um, and another thing, this bleeds into this serious tone. It bleeds into the music. A lot of the music is not very good, or not very memorable, which is a massive shame because usually Sonic games, even if they're bad, they absolutely nail their music. Everyone remembers Sonic Unleashed soundtrack, and even Sonic 4 has some banger tracks in there. You know what I mean? Sonic Lost World has some banger tracks. It does have a couple of good songs. Well, for one thing, the boss fight's surprisingly good, considering it's a 3D Sonic game. Usually 3D Sonic games of all varieties have pretty mid bosses, especially like Sonic Generations is an easy example. That final boss, man, what were they thinking with that? Um, but the bosses in this game are pretty good. They're pretty cool. They can be a bit buggy and a bit annoying to understand, but once you kind of understand what's going on, they're pretty cool. I don't know, they're okay. Um, a big a big part of why I hate this game, or why I dislike this game, is the cyberspace challenges, because they're literally right. People say, oh, it's just Sonic Generations levels, they can't be that bad, but they are, because somehow they made the 2D parts control absolutely horrid controls on the 2D ones. When Sonic jumps, he just loses all forward momentum. It it feels like the game is bugged. That's how bad it is. Like when you jump, you literally just stop moving forwards at all. It feels like you're jumping. It feels like you're playing an underwater level, but you're not underwater. The controls in the 2D sections are absolutely abhorrent. And I remember there's a drifting one as well, and oh my god, that's really bad. But yeah, it feels like it literally controls incorrectly in cyberspace. It's really, really bad. And they are very much the lowlights of the game every single time. And also this big map, well, big maps, I should say. No fast travel was a little annoying. I know there's the big rails that spawn around, but that doesn't really count. Like, just give me a fast travel, man. I think, well, I mean, Sonic fans like anything because they like 3D Sonic games. So they like if you like Sonic Adventure, it means you like literally anything. So you'll probably enjoy this if you like that. But Sonic Frontiers overall is a 4 out of 10. There's definitely flashes. There's flashes in there of a good game, but overall not good. Okay, next game I finished was a game called Steel Assault. This is really cool. It's a very short 2D action platformer. Um, it's not very substantive. I think I beat it in like 45 minutes or something. It's cool. This just reminded me of when I used to play the Mega Drive. That was my only console at home. Just play 2D platformers like Sonic, funnily enough, or like Alicia Dragoon and stuff like that. It's a pretty cool game. It's nice that it has difficulty options. You can just set it to easy if you don't feel like pulling your hair out, which is what I did do because I'm a pussy. Um, it's got a cool system where you like attach like a grappling hook either side of you. It's a cool gimmick, but it doesn't really use it. It used it in like one level for like part of it. It could have been cool, but it didn't really feel like that substantive, which is fine. I guess. I mean, if it was probably they probably have more plans to use it, but they just kind of realized, wait, game development's really hard. So instead, the game is really short. It's all right. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's okay. This is like a 6 out of 10. Another game I beat this year was Bastion. This is the game with the really good soundtrack and the narrator with an absolutely amazing voice. But not much beyond that, unfortunately. The gameplay is very basic. Um, the presentation, as I say, great music, great narrator, but the gameplay is fine. Doesn't really do anything with the gameplay at all, sadly. So I'm just, yeah, yeah. I mean, the gameplay is it's there, it exists, it's fine, it functions. It's a 6 out of 10 for Bastion. Next game I beat was Duck Detective: The Secret Salami. Now I feel really bad about this because this is definitely a better game than I'm giving it credit for, but this is 100% just not my sort of game. It's very charming, the voice work is great, everything is really cute. I love the loading screen messages. It will say like silly I don't know if they're facts, maybe they are, but they'll say like silly things about faux facts about ducks. There was one that was literally, there are over 100 ducks. And that was the fact, and it was hilarious, and it's very charming and fun. But the gameplay itself, I think this is just not my thing more than it is not that good. I remember just, it feels like some points when you're trying to do the deductions, deduct, you know, because you're a duck, deductions, you're just kind of bashing your head into a wall, like brute forcing them rather than actually solving them. Maybe, I think I'm just bad, to be honest. I think a lot of this is skill issue, so I unfortunately give this one a 5 out of 10. But I do recommend this game because I think if you have like a functioning brain, you'll probably enjoy this more than I did. But it just wasn't, it's just, this game just isn't how I think, I don't think, and it's just not for me. The next game I beat was The Last of Us Part 1, the like 50th remake of this game. Despite us definitely being overexposed to this series, I think it's fair to say that the actual games are bangers, right? Yeah, this game is amazing. This just, whew, it's very character driven, very good stuff. I like how much you have to explore all the environments. To get all the survival tools possible. It really makes this world feel lived in. Just it also helps that the visuals in this game are obviously amazing. Very nice visual fidelity on this thing, and I try not to bring that too much into my reviews of things, but when something looks good, I will say it looks amazing, and this game does look amazing. And the stealth, when you get into stealthing and when things inevitably go wrong, the game just plays so well. The stealth feels really good. You're on the edge of your seat the whole time, whether you're against the infected or against humans. Always feels like things could go wrong at any moment, but when you get like nice few stealth kills lined up, it feels really satisfying. And having obviously things being really scarce, it feels really good when you have a spare shiv to like unlock a door or something like that, or when you find a code to something and you get in and you get a load of stuff. That stuff feels really satisfying. The only gripe I had with this game, it's very minor, is the fact that the DLC is obviously included. I think because this is now like a remaster of a remaster, we could have included the DLC in the base package so that the pacing didn't get completely thrown off. Because I think when you play the you play like the full game through and it ends on that perfect note, you know, right, I'm gonna try not to spoil, but you know, the game ends and it has that perfect moment and it's really good. And then you then go back and play some more stuff again, which doesn't really have an outcome on the plot. And the fact that this is, as I say, a remake of a remake, could we not have slotted in where the DLC takes place? Because it's like a retroactive thing. It takes place like in the past, it's a flashback. I feel like we could have slotted it into the story somehow, to just brush up the pacing a little bit. That's all. The DLC itself is pretty good, especially because there's points where you have the infected and humans at the same time, which doesn't happen in the main game. That is really cool because when you can get them both to fight each other, or when you both have to manage fighting them at the same time, that's really cool stuff. I just think the pacing could have been cleaned up a tiny bit through that. But despite this minor gripe, I'm making a mountain out of a molehill at the moment, because at the end of the day, the game still fucking rocks. I know we've been overexposed to Last of Us, but it's for good reason, because this game is an easy 10 out of 10 for me. Next game I finished was Gris. Gris? Gris. Gris. Yeah, this game is beautiful. This is the sort of game you'd show to someone who says like, oh, games aren't art. This is an arty game. Very, very beautiful game. I love how the further you get, the more colors are like injected into the backgrounds and stuff. It's so creative with how it uses what colors it has, because you start out with no colors, then you get like green, then you get red, etc. It's so good. It's so cool, and then by the end, everything is all beautiful. Like it's a really lovely looking game, and it's a puzzle game. And as I mentioned earlier, not really a puzzle gamer, but I really enjoyed the puzzles in this thing. Maybe it's because maybe the puzzles are kind of easy, so they'll be really easy to actual puzzle-minded folk. But this is really good stuff. The gameplay of this is really entertaining, and this game is short enough where I think if you play this all in one sitting, it's like optimal. I think I beat it in like 3 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that, and it's perfect length, and it really does it flies by. And the way you develop the world in terms of color, you go from just black and white at the very beginning to fully colored by the end. Spoilers, I guess? Question mark. I mean, that's kind of what you're aiming to do. But this is really, really beautiful game. Really beautiful visually. Really fun to play. Cool puzzles. Cool platforming. Just a really, really good stuff here. I really, really recommend this. This is an 8 out of 10 for Gris. The next game I finished was The Pathless. Now this game has really nice visuals as well, very stylish. I love really beautiful music as well in this one, and for Gris as well. But yeah, this game has awesome music, which really helps with the exploration, because a lot of this game you're kind of just sliding and flying around this big like foresty kind of area, or sometimes in the snow and stuff like that in different environments. That really does help carry it, because otherwise I think it might be a little tedious sometimes. But the nice visuals and the superb music, like really beautiful music in this thing, really help with the exploration, I think. I do wish this game had a map. I remember thinking there were points where I didn't really know where I was going, which I guess is part of it. You're meant to kind of explore and find where you're going, I guess, but it doesn't always work, I don't think. I think there are some points where it's like, oh, I kind of wish I had a map just to get me that little last bit over. Yeah, no, it feels cool to explore stuff, but a lot of the game is literally just exploring, so I guess that's why they didn't have a map now that I think about it. But a lot of the gameplay itself is kind of shallow, and the puzzles are very, very simple a lot of the time. Like, if I can solve them, like, within, like, a few minutes, it means they're very simple. And the boss fights are cool. A lot of the gameplay kind of goes into the boss fights. The boss fights are cool, especially the final boss. I remember being awesome. But yeah, this game is good, but it doesn't quite have the punch or the pizzazz to push it over a 7 out of 10. So this is a 7 out of 10 for The Pathless. Next game I finished was Darksiders War Mastered Edition. This is good. This basically just feels like edgy Legend of Zelda, or maybe the original God of War more than anything. But it's a bit more puzzle centric than the original God of War game was. The combat is a little too shallow, a little more shallow than I like it to be. You do get a few different secondary weapons, but they don't flow with the combat very well. They kind of just give you like one move with the secondary weapon, and it doesn't like, you can't like combo it in, so there's no real reason to use them. So the combat feels a little wishy-washy, and some of the puzzles can be a little bit laborious or awkward. Yeah, some of them are cool, but this game also feels kind of derivative of a lot of different ideas, because it feels like a Legend of Zelda or a God of War, and it also has literally a portal gun with orange and blue portals as well. And some of the puzzles can go on a little long, I think. It's alright. I think with a little more polish, a little better combat, it would play a bit better. It's alright. I'm looking forward to playing the sequel to this. I've heard the sequel to this polishes up on the combat quite a lot, so I'm quite excited to give that a go. It's alright though. So I think if you like kind of hack and slashes or puzzly kind of adventure games, I think this will scratch that itch. This is a 6 out of 10 for Darksiders War Mastered. Oh, the next game I played was Celeste. Now, I actually felt like playing this game because I was watching a streamer and he had a Celeste song in the background. And I was like, it's been a while since I played Celeste. I played it back in 2020. I didn't really understand the hype behind it, but I think also a lot of it was because I was just bad at the game. And I was just like, I don't, oh, it's just a hard platformer. No, it's more than that. Well, I mean, it is a hard platformer, but it's so well designed. It's so beautifully presented. Fantastic music, as I kind of alluded to a minute ago, and this is just everything you want in a platformer. I don't love precision platformers that much because I feel like they're too much designed to like rage bait you, or like put a bit too much on you. But this one, something about Celeste just really, really, it's just so beautiful. I think it's because you only do like one screen at a time, and if you mess up, you'll only be put back to the beginning of the screen. I didn't really play much of the side stuff. I did like one or two of the B sides. And I obviously completed the main story, but I didn't do much beyond that because I didn't feel like putting loads of time into it and getting mad. But I really love the story of this thing as well. It's simple, but it, I think it's got a relatable message for like a lot of people, myself included. I would say the characters are all really charming, and it's honestly got kind of an inspirational message behind it as well. Yeah, and the controls, obviously, I don't know if I mentioned yet, but the controls just feel so good. It feels very responsive, very tight. Everything, you do exactly what you want it to do. Madeline's movement feels very natural. Very natural is a good way to put it, I think. And even if you beat the main story, there's hours of content beyond. Obviously, I didn't do much beyond like a couple of B-sides, which were pretty tough. I did manage to get through them, but they are tough. But no, very, very good game, Celeste. If you like precision platformers or any 2D platformer in general, I do really recommend this. It's got a great story, very heartwarming, cool characters, fun gameplay, obviously. I give this one a 9 out of 10. The next game I beat was Final Fantasy IX. So, as I mentioned earlier, JRPG is not really my thing. Saying that, this game is really, really good. I like me some high fantasy. I like me some high fantasy. You know, I know that especially since like Final Fantasy VI, they were going more into like the techno fantasy stuff, especially with like 7 and 8. A little, I think there was some in 8, but especially in 7 with like Midgar and all that. But this one is like pure high fantasy, and I love that. Sometimes a guy just wants to go on an adventure. That's why I love Grandia so much. That game is just about having an adventure, you know. This game has really nice visuals, very nice pre-rendered backgrounds. I remember thinking some of them were really nice. I did play with a mod. I forget which mod it was off the top of my head, but I played with a mod that raised the frame rate a little bit of all the animations and used and touched up a lot of the backgrounds, and that made made me appreciate the game even more because some of these backgrounds look really nice when they're touched up a bit. And the ending to this game had me bawling like a baby. I haven't cried at a game story in quite some time, but this game, oh sorry, I say that, Ghost of Tsushima also had me bawling, but this game, the ending especially, that ending cutscene, if you know, you know, that ending cutscene had me in tears. I was genuinely like crying my eyes out, and in the best possible way. It was really beautiful, really touching. I do like a lot of the characters here. I think some of their arcs get solved a little quick or get over a little quick. I love Vivi or Vi, the Black Mage. That's my boy right there. And the battle system feels pretty good. I like the I think it's the skill system it's called. Yeah, the skill system where you like you do enough battles with the character and they unlock a certain skill that's attached to a piece of gear. That's a really good idea, and you can kind of customize how a character is useful in certain fights. There is some strategizing here, so that's cool. Yeah, I enjoyed Final Fantasy IX. As I say though, not a huge JRPG guy, so if you're more into JRPGs, this might be more for you, but this one still earns, from me, an 8 out of 10. Staying on kind of the JRPG route, next game I finished was Cassette Beasts. This is a really cool Pokemon I like. It's got some really interesting and original ideas. And I think if you're a little bit bored of the Pokemon series and kind of thinking about its lost potential, I think this is quite a good one. This game is quite exploration heavy. It's got a lot of quests. It's got quite a bit of content to do. It has some really cool creatures. I don't love all of the decks in the Dex Encyclopedia, whatever it's called, in this one. But I think one's got a really lots of really cool ideas in here, and I like the boss fights in this. The boss fights are quite creepy. Some of their designs are really bizarre and don't fit in with the world at all, which is what it's meant to be. But unfortunately, this still suffers with JRPG stuff in which, oh, I can just keep leveling up and then I can just beat everything. That never really gets solved, but that's just a JRPG thing, which is why I've been kind of going off them recently. But a lot of the boss fights in this are also, as much as I love the designs of them, some of them are just kind of long. They just hit you with loads of debuffs and status effects. They don't even make the fights hard. They just make them last ages, and it just kind of gets a little bit tiresome. But at the end of the day, it's a JRPG. There's only so many ways you can make these things challenging. You just make the battles like really long. But this is cool. I did think some of the exploration could be a little bit annoying, because I think it would have been nice if they'd included more shortcuts to more awkward spots around the map. There is obviously a fast travel, but like there's some spots which are like kind of awkward to get to. Without going one specific route, and I think once you get up to a certain point, there should be like a ladder you can kick down or a platform you can move, just to, when you want to go back up there inevitably a bit later on, you can just make your way up without having to do the long round, rigmarole of going back up there. That's all. Still a really solid creature collector RPG though, especially if you like Pokemon. You'll probably like Cassette Beast. So this is a 7 out of 10. The next game I played was Convergence, a League of Legends story, another Riot Forge game. I was kind of divided on this game, to be honest. It looks beautiful, really, really nice visuals on this one, and the platforming feels really good and responsive as well. I love all the different moves you keep unlocking, like you're swinging around, you've got the time rewind, so it's kind of like a Prince of Persia. If you mess up, you can just go back a little bit. You've got the wall running. Yeah, and you unlock more as the game goes on. There's like, like grinding, I guess, like rail grinding. That's cool as well. And like when they give you like a platforming section where you have to balance all of this, the game feels really good. But unfortunately, this game has combat as well, and it's not bad. It's not bad. It's kind of just middling, I think, because a lot of it is just it has like a dodge mechanic, but the dodge mechanic only works for about a third of the moves in the game. Which I understand because it is quite strong, but I think all you need to do here was just tighten up the timing on the dodge and make more stuff dodgeable, and it would have been fine. And maybe I missed something, because I feel like there was a few parts of this game that it didn't tutorialize properly, because I know there's also a shop in the game where you can buy like more moves, more combat moves, but then it never actually tells you how to use them, which is, a little bit weird. But the combat is, I don't know, it doesn't feel so good. It feels like you just don't really do any damage, and enemies do way too much damage, and then you just have to keep rewinding, and then you just kind of feel like you're cheating, and it's kind of leads to just being really unsatisfying. It's kind of a sad mix. This game is still solid. The combat isn't all bad. It's just kind of, I think the enemies just have a bit too much HP, and the combos it doesn't feel as satisfying. They could have developed a few more combos for stuff like this, I think, or like had less reliance on the combat. I think the more combat there is, the worse the game gets, kind of. As I say, the game is still fine. The game's still pretty good. It has some stuff going on. The platform is good. The story is cool, and it's cool, and the art style is really, really nice. I love the art in this game. Yeah, I think if it focused a little less on combat, it would improve. But it's still, as it is, it still earns a 6 out of 10, so not bad at all, I would say. The next game I played was Gravity Circuit, another 2D platformer, but this one's basically just like, you guys missed Mega Man, right? Well, here's another Mega Man game for you. This game is awesome. I like that you can choose the like order in which you can do levels. It has really responsive controls, really cool moves. Any 2D platform especially that lets me do like a spinning pile driver on a regular enemy immediately like gets boosted up at least like a point or two. Do you know what I mean? this is great, and it controls really well. It has a really cool grapple hook mechanic, which you can use in really creative ways. You can throw back enemy projectiles. You can latch onto enemies with it. This is a really good game with a lot of potential for, like, I can tell it has a lot of potential speedrunning, and just this is the sort of game you just want to get better at and just keep playing. It's not very long, but you can play it like and keep getting better at it, and then it will just become more satisfying, and then you can crank up the difficulty and stuff like that. So this is really good, and I'm glad that this gives you difficulty options as well, because it can be challenging, but I played it through on it in easy, and I still felt I was still challenged at some points as well. It's still a really good game, this one, Gravity Circuit. Really highly recommend this one. This one is an 8 out of 10. Or this one. I had a lot to say about this one. Next game I played was Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Now, I wish I could give this the score I want to, but I cannot in good conscience give it anything above an 8 out of 10. Because this game is so I don't know what it's like on console. I play this on PC, remember. But this game on PC is so unoptimized and so buggy. I can't in good conscience give it anything above an 8 out of 10, which is a shame, because this game has so much cool stuff in. This game is like, it's got like Metrovania, it's got 3D hack and slash beat 'em up stuff. The game looks really nice. It's got massive planets to explore. It does feel very Star Warsy, and obviously when you're a nerd, when you're a bit of a nerd like me, you're vying for when times were better, as it were. It has great atmosphere and presentation and music in terms of like the Star Warsiness of it. The gameplay feels really good when you're in like combat with a lot of guys and you're deflecting lasers and you're parrying a guy's attack and then stabbing him and then force pulling someone over and like stabbing them and throwing a guy off a ledge. Oh my god, this game can feel so good, and the story is cool as well. The characters are good. It's well written. The voice acting's great. The customization of like everything, of your outfit, of your lightsaber, all of that is so good. I just wish it was polished, because this game, it crashed on me multiple times. One time it crashed on me so hard it reset my Windows sound settings. I've never seen anything like that in my life, but it crashed so hard it reset my PC sound settings. I promise you I'm not making that up. I wish I was. But yeah, like, very unoptimized, but the gameplay itself, when it works, oh my lord, very good game. I wish I could give it a higher score, but with the objectively horrible optimization, I can't give it any higher than an 8 out of 10, but I wish I could. If this game was optimized, this would be a 9 or a 10, but yeah, I can't in good conscience give it any higher than an 8. Next game I played was Metal Garden. Very short, very cool, very atmospheric first-person shooter. It's designed to be beaten all in one sitting, which is what I did. I beat it in about 80 to 90 minutes, I think. But it's literally designed to just kind of tell an atmospheric story. It really cool on this one. Really cool environments, very basic enemies, but that's fine. A lot of it is just, it's basically a walking simulator with first-person shooter elements. The shooting feels fine, doesn't feel bad actually. But it's really cool just seeing this world, really atmospheric, really well presented, great sound design, and just really cool. It's hard to say a lot about this game. I recommend just kind of going into this one. It's not very expensive. You can beat it in an hour and a half. I don't think you're going to lose anything by just giving this one a play. I give this a 7 out of 10. Okay, we only a few left now, guys. Don't worry, we're nearly there. Thank you for sticking this long if you have. Next game I finished was Cavern of Dreams. This is another very N64-y game. This along with Corn Kids 64 is the most N64 non-N64 game I think I've ever played. Very nice art style, very nice atmosphere, and it's just a cute, colourful little game. You play as a little dinosaur guy, or I think he's a dragon actually. He has wings. So yeah, you have a little dragon dude, and you just solve some puzzles. The puzzle stuff is what makes me not love it as much as I would like to, because it's not. Games like this, I like the platforming. I don't really like the puzzle stuff. This game has a bit of platforming, but it mostly has puzzle stuff. The puzzle stuff is fine. It's not bad, and the game is short enough to where it's not really like it doesn't get frustrating or anything like that. But I wish it was more gated behind the platforming challenges. But I say that, There is platforming, like a platforming challenge at the end of the game for like the final boss, and it's quite bad. The game kind of falls apart because it's way too challenging for what you're kind of given, tools-wise. You don't your jumping and stuff is not really precise enough to demand something like that. Most of the game is designed around like the kind of the floatiness of the jumps and stuff like that and how the movement works, but that final bit is quite bad. But despite all that, I still give this game a solid 7 out of 10. I actually recommend it if you, especially if you like 3D platformers. Cavern of Dreams, very adorable. Quite cheap as well, I think, on Steam. Um, Next game I played was the Dead Space remake. I've actually never played the original. I always heard it was good. I just never got around to playing it, and this is really solid stuff. This really reminded me of Alien, and I love Alien, the original. It's my favorite one out of the whole series. Is the original Alien. I know people like Aliens, the sequel, but I think Alien is a better movie because it's more original and different. I was kind of expecting this to be a little scarier. I've heard this game is really scary. I didn't think it was particularly scary, to be honest. It has a couple of jump scares, I guess, but for the most part, it's kind of tense, I guess. But it, maybe Silent Hill 2 is just so scary that I was expecting. I think it just put my expectations so high. Maybe it's just made me immune to everything scary now. But I do like that I do like the necromorphs as enemies. They're really cool. I like that they can kind of come out of anywhere. They come out the vents, and one of them came out the toilet once. Like, ugh, that's horrible. And I like all the weapons. I like they all feel like tools, and I like the like none of them are like, well, you do have one gun, the machine gun thing, but a lot of them just feel like tools that you're using to take their limbs off and stuff like that. It's a really cool. Really cool game, this one. I was expecting a little more, I think, but it was still really good. This is a solid 8 out of 10. The next game I finished was Transistor. This was pretty good. This is obviously Supergiant's second game. Their first one was Bastion. This is their second game, and it feels like they've actually figured out the gameplay somewhat for this one. As expected, the presentation is amazing, the music's really good, the voice acting's great, and as I say, this one actually like has gameplay that feels it doesn't feel amazing, but it feels at least like it has like a unique kind of hook to it. The freezing time and then planning out your moves. That's a really cool idea. I still think it doesn't 100% work. It's not like amazing, because you have to spend a lot of time like downtime just running away waiting for your like freeze time thing to recharge. But it is cool, and I like how you can combine weapons together with different passives and actives, to like make each move kind of do something a bit different. There's a lot of room for experimentation, which is really good. And yeah, the game is short, but it gives you a lot to play with in that short time. So that was cool. I like this game, Transistor. It's a 7 out of 10 for sure. The next game I beat was Ball X Pit, or just Ball Pit. That's how they say it in the trailers, but just to be clear, it's Ball X Pit. It's a really cool concept, but it just feels really like I like a roguelike, but this one feels really grindy and really RNG heavy. And yeah, I don't know. It's not very deep at all, really, this one. I don't like any of the colony sim stuff, and I think that's a common complaint. I think all the building stuff is really just doesn't really work at all. And it doesn't. And once you beat the game, it feels like it doesn't really have anything else for you, and it's fairly easy to get through and beat once you kind of find like a consistent strategy. I think it's got a cool idea, and it's fun enough for a few hours to burn, but I don't think it's very much beyond that, unfortunately. So the Ball X Pit gets a 6 out of 10. Oh, we've got a bad one now. Okay, Akimbot is the next game I beat, and this game is terrible. I saw a lot of people in the Steam reviews saying this thing. Oh, this is just like Ratchet and Clank, and this is like Ratchet and Clank, but slightly lower budget. No, this game is shockingly bad. This game is really bad. Okay, so like, there's a lot of bad. I'm looking at my backlog right now because I wrote a pretty big review on this thing on backlog. Okay, so this game, it does not value your time at all. And I know this is rich coming from a guy who's been talking for 2.5 hours about his gaming experience of this year, but this game just feels like it's trying to waste your time. I know, oh, games waste your time, but no, This thing feels like it's actively trying to waste your time. The combat feels really unsatisfying, really stiff, and just none of the weapons feel good. You have 4 weapons plus like a special weapon. The 4 weapons all feel crap. I do like the idea of instead of ammo, they have like an overheat gauge. That's cool because it incentivizes you swapping weapons. That stuff is good. Um, and then you get 1 of 4 special weapons, which are like basically the Ratchet and Clank weapons. The weapons that are a little bit different. They actually kill things. They actually do damage for one, but they actually have like different effects and stuff like that. But you only get like a certain amount of charge for that. That's a cool idea, but at the end of the day, you don't get to. A big thing about Ratchet and Clank is like leveling up the weapons and stuff like that. There is very little of that in this game. The only good thing I can say about this game is it functions, right? That's it. The game functions. It looks okay, but not particularly appealing. The main characters, both the main characters, the main character that you play as, Exy, he feels like just a 12-year-old's Sonic OC. He's like edgy. He's like, you know, he's got a dark past as an ex-mercenary, and he's annoyed all the time, and he's never cracks a joke. He's super serious, man. And then you've got Chipset, who is the most annoying character I think ever written into a game. I don't mean to be too rude, because I know it's a voice actor can't help what they sound like, in terms of the voice they were born with. But if this guy's voice is always like that, I feel so bad. Because the guy who plays Chipset is the most annoying person's voice I've ever heard in my entire life, and the entire runtime, he's always screeching, yelling, shouting, screaming, and screeching the whole time, and it's never anything useful. And these characters never develop, or they don't grow, they don't come to rely on each other for anything. Chipset is never useful for a single thing, except for right at the very end of the final boss when he, like, opens a door or something. And I'll get on more onto that later. But Chipset is just the most annoying character ever. And then at the end, they just say, "Oh yeah, we're besties. Yeah, besties forever." They literally say it like that. But we haven't seen these characters actually like warm to each other at any point. Okay. My biggest problem with this game is it just feels like everything lasts too long. The game itself, it feels like you fight a final boss about halfway in, and then the game keeps going. But there's many points in this game where you're just walking through empty rooms. Not even like you're not platforming over anything, you're not dodging anything, you're just walking through an empty room. This kind of permeates through the whole game. There's a bit when you're doing like an auto scroller on rails ship section. You're like, you know, you're in a ship flying through an enemy fleet. You got to blow stuff up. You got to chase stuff down. It's cool. It sounds fine on paper because it varies up the gameplay a little bit. Sure, fine. It's not bad, but it just keeps going. And then it says, "Oh, we lost them. Okay, to get closer to them, we've got to go." This is the most obvious example I can think of. I remember this distinctly because it annoyed me so much. Oh, we've got to go through this black hole. To catch up to him, we've got to fly through this black hole. If we flew at the right angle at the right time, we can get a jump on them. We can, like, you know, orbit around it and use it to slingshot us closer to them. And I was like, hey, this actually sounds like a cool idea. This could be a really cool cinematic moment. So you're fighting the other ships off as you try and dive into this black hole, and then the whole screen like goes white, and it's like, oh my god, we're going in. You hear like yelling, and it's like, okay, this is pretty dramatic. The screen goes white, and then you just end up in another empty patch of space. And then they're like, oh, we're in the wrong spot. Oh, we've got to go through this next black. So you've got to do it all again. You did that really cool, epic cinematic moment, and you've just got to do it again now because the game decided the level wasn't long enough. This level is already going on for like 5-10 minutes, by the way. Like, it keeps going. Everything feels like it just keeps going, and at no point do I feel like I'm having that much fun. Even when it gives me something to do in terms of the combat feels so unsatisfying and weak, and I could go on for ages about how much I don't like this game. But I will say, the final boss of this game contains a kart racing minigame with shit controls, which if you fall off the map you just die. Has a 2D fighter minigame with like 2D sprites, which feels awful, and a Flappy Bird clone in the final boss of this game. I feel bad because I can tell it's like an indie team, and I liked Pumpkin Jack, who apparently these guys made as well, and I did like Pumpkin Jack. That game was cool. But as soon as this game I saw finish the game, I just breathed a sigh of relief because I couldn't stand this anymore. I literally just played this just to get it out of the way. But no, this is awful. 2 out of 10 for Akimbot. Next game I played was Diny-Ho Adventures. This thing's alright. It gets very challenging very quickly, and it has cool music and it has cute graphics. As I say, it can be quite challenging, but almost I think to an unfair degree. Especially that final world and the last couple of levels are kind of insane. It's alright though, it's not bad, it's nothing particularly memorable, but it's playable. It's a 5 out of 10 for Diny-Ho Adventures, not a huge amount to say. Next game I finished was The Wolf Among Us. Haha, Among Us, am I right? This game looks amazing. This is what this is why like an art style infinitely matters more than like visual fidelity, because this game still looks great and it's 12 years old. It looks amazing. But the thing is with these Telltale games is they're not really games, are they? You just kind of pick a few options here and there. Your choices are a little bit fake. You kind of have an outcome on. There's like a few endings, I guess. But like a lot of the choices throughout the game are a little bit fake, I think. And there's not a ton of gameplay. There's a little bit, and like the story is entertaining enough to where I still was engaged and I wanted to keep playing, but it wasn't much beyond that, I think. And I think if I had played more of these games, I'd probably give this a lower score, but because this is the only Telltale Games game that I have played, I'm willing to give this a 7 out of 10. But I think if I played more of them and then played this one, I'd probably give it a lower score, because I think I can kind of tell that a lot of these games are kind of fake in terms of their choices and their stuff like that. The next game I completed was Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. Now, quick caveat to this one, I actually didn't fully beat this one. I got to the final level and I beat the final boss, and then I got to the escape sequence and then I died and I had to restart the final level again. But I will go into that a little later. But what this game does give you is awesome. I love the charm, the visuals are beautiful, the humor can be pretty good as well. And I really like how it blends the overworld puzzle solving into like having there being 2 versions of every level. It's such a simple idea, but it's a simple idea, but it's so original. I've never seen another game do this. But the fact that like what you do in the overworld, a lot of the time is themed around what the level turns into. So for example, a more watery level will like not be water filled anymore if you just stop the river from flowing where the level is, it's just stuff like that is so cool. It's such a good idea, and it really does work well, and like each level is cool, it controls pretty well. It's a little imprecise at times, but that's okay because it's kind of 2 different gameplay styles, but it can be a bit imprecise, but for the most part it feels really good, and it's pretty generous with its checkpoints, so you never really get mad at a lot of what it does. But unfortunately, the game's shortcomings in terms of its controls really rears its ugly head when you play through the final level, which is the titular Impossible Lair, because this level is kind of designed. It feels like it's designed to be like meme-worthy in terms of how difficult it is. It feels like it's just made to be difficult rather than designed to be like a level. You have to take damage. That's kind of the point. Is throughout the levels, every level you beat, you get another bee that will take a hit for you in the Impossible Lair. It's a cool idea, as I say, but all the problems with the game, they're really presented in this final level, and it's quite saddening, really. Like there's no just instant like retry button. I have to exit out into the world map, hold Y to go back into the level, select the part of the level I want to go back to, and then wait for the loading screen. Why isn't there just a restart level button? Especially in a level like this where it knows you're going to be like, do you know what I mean? Like there should just be a restart from checkpoint button or a retry button or anything like that. It's so frustrating. The game just it isn't precise enough to demand this level of of responsiveness, and it's not, the game isn't precise enough to give you this amount of challenge. If the game was tighter, it will probably be fine. But there's bits where, like, I'll literally get hit by like, you have to roll to get under certain objects, and I'll roll and it will hit me still. It just doesn't make any sense. It feels like sometimes it just hits you because it felt like it. And when you only have a limited amount of damage you can take throughout the level, that isn't really acceptable. And then it does the thing where it just puts like a load of ice on level, and like I'm a very vocal hater of ice levels in platformers because it just makes it so your movement is fucked. And I hate it. In every game that has an ice level, I get mad. But yeah, I mean, yeah. But with that being said, the rest of this game, besides the very final level, is really, really solid stuff. If it had a actual final level that I wanted to play, this would be an easy 8 out of 10. But as it is, still a 7 out of 10. Really solid stuff here. The next game I beat was The Wonderful 101 Remastered. This is a cool action game. I really, really dig the idea of like drawing your weapons into different shapes to get your different, different abilities, like a fist or a sword or a whip or a gun or a hammer. You know, that sort of stuff is really cool, especially as you unlock them. You unlock them pretty what's the word I'm looking for? You unlock it at a rate which is pretty reasonable, to where you kind of get a couple of levels at a time to kind of get used to a new weapon, and then it will give you a new one. So you don't feel like you're overwhelmed with options, because a lot of them, to be fair, some of the weapons are a bit shit, and they're only really useful for like either one specific enemy or for just like a part of the level, as it were. Like for example, I think the hammer is pretty useless at everything, but you only need it to like open certain like doors. That's a bit disappointing, but like the difficulty of this game can be pretty high, and especially because when you get hit, you lose a lot of the time. You lose all your little goobers, and you need to pick up everyone to get your to be able to attack again, and that can be quite frustrating. So I lowered the difficulty probably about halfway through the game, and it became a lot more tolerable. I know, once again, I'm being a pussy by saying that, but I want to shoot me for wanting to enjoy the game I'm playing, you know. And once you get into the rhythm of this game and like beating stuff up and then turning into another one and then beating up some more and then doing a finisher, and then that it can be really satisfying sometimes. And it's it has some small flaws, and I didn't like how some of the boss fights were literally just Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Now, I know Mike Tyson's Punch Out is a good game, but unfortunately I've never played them, and I've never been given a tutorial on when to dodge and when to block, etc. Like, I've never understood the games, and I've never like received that tutorializing, so I don't know. And like, it kind of relies on you knowing when you're supposed to block and when you're meant to dodge and stuff like that. I've never known, so I couldn't get into those fights as much. But if you like Platinum games, you'll like The Wonderful 101. It's just a really solid character action game, as they call it, and I give this one a 7 out of 10. The next game I played is a little game called The Gunk. Now this is a cool little game. It's got really nice atmosphere, really, really nice music, and I love the visuals of like this weird alien planet, where everything does seem like undiscovered and different and very alien, you know. But this is kind of just a glorified walking simulator. There's not that much in terms of gameplay. There's very basic combat. You kind of, it feels cool to like suck up all this gunk and get into new locations and stuff like that. It doesn't really, the banter between the two characters is nice as well. It's cool, and some of the puzzles, they're kind of basic, but some of them can be quite satisfying to solve, especially near the end when it ranks up in difficulty a tiny bit. It's very short, so I'd recommend like you just kind of play through it in an afternoon or two. I think I only beat it in like 4 hours or something. It's a solid game. It's nothing too special. There's not a ton in terms of gameplay, but the atmosphere and just the feeling of walking through this alien world does feel really, really good. So this one earns a 6 out of 10. The next game I finished was a game called Tori Saturn. Now, I don't know if you've played Tori games before. I remember just finding them once, and me and my buddy just like kind of raced through them. They're cool little 3D platformers. They're nothing too special or exciting. They're kind of designed around speed and just getting high ranks. You can beat each of them in like 40 minutes each at a push, but they're cool. And Tori Saturn is no different. You have like a roll move now, so you get like speed boost whenever you hit the floor. There's not much to say beside that. It's just a solid, well-controlling speed platformer that you're just encouraged to get higher ranks on. I give Tori Saturn a 7 out of 10, and I recommend all of the Tori games because they're all really cheap and really easy to play and get into, I would say. Okay, we've only got a couple left now, guys. The next game I finished was Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Now this might be the grooviest game ever created, because I remember even like I was jiving to the music and I could see like NPCs in the background also jiving, and I was like, man, this is just it's a party up in here. What a great atmosphere to have in your game. Just yeah, everything's groovy, you know, it just feels great. And it helps that the visuals also really distinctive and really vibrant, very stylish. I was playing this on my Steam Deck at work actually, and one of my colleagues went past because he also plays some games. He looked at my game. He was like, "Oh my god, I love the visuals in that game." I was like, "Yeah, man, it looks awesome." Yeah, it's a really good looking game, this one. And I was a little bit apprehensive to play it at first because obviously this is a spiritual successor to the Jet Set Radio games. I've played the original Jet Set Radio. I didn't really get it. I think it was too momentum heavy, and I remember getting like stuck in on like a ramp, and I just couldn't get any further. I could get further in level, but it was just annoying me, and I was like, I don't really feel like playing this, so I just stopped. But this one, the controls feel great. It's yeah, considering you're always having to move forward because you're on a skateboard or a bike or skates. This game felt really good to control. It feels like basically just a 3D platformer with a gimmick, but in a good way. In a good way. Um, I love tricking around. I love grinding about. I was kind of hoping it would play a little more like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater in terms of the combos and stuff like that. But I like with what they did go with. It's not a complaint. I was just expecting something slightly different. And I really liked when it went into the dream sequences like a few times throughout the game because they're basically just big 3D platforming levels, and that's where it feels like an actual like just a linear platform. It was really cool. I wasn't expecting to enjoy this as much as I did, but this was really cool. I think, as I say, the combos and stuff is a little shallow, and I wish it had a bit more depth, like as I say, like Tony Hawk's or something, because you can't rack up as ridiculous scores as you can in that game, but you can still rack up some really high scores if you understand how to jump from wall grinds and stuff like that. And there's plenty to like discover and stuff like that, and I like this is really solid stuff. And the story, surprisingly as well, in the second half actually gets pretty interesting, so I was quite into it. Um, yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about this one. Cyberfunk, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk gets a 7 out of 10. And now on to the most recent game I finished. I only beat it the other day, just before Christmas, and I don't think I'm going to beat any more games this year. So this is the last one of the video. Lost in Random. Now this is quite a shame, because I love the presentation, and I actually quite like the story, even though it's quite basic. I love the world of this game, and I love the presentation of it. It's a very pretty game. Feels like I'm in a Tim Burton movie, or pre-washed Tim Burton movie. Everything looks very bizarre. There's no such thing as a straight line, you know. Everything has to be a little bit jagged and weird looking, and the voice acting is good as well to complement that. And the designs and stuff. I love the design of the Queen in this game. The worlds, like there's like 6 different worlds because it's all based around the dice. You know, 6 sides of a dice, 6 different worlds. Some of these worlds are so cool. Like there's the one which is the big. It's just a giant war zone, so everything's just in trenches. But unfortunately, there's a point where you have to play the game, and the game does not play very well. I want to explore these worlds, but there's no jump button, so everything's just kind of a corridor to walk down, and I don't want to do any of the side missions because the map is horrendous. You push select, and it shows you the area that you are currently in, but it doesn't show you what direction you are facing. If this game had a more functional map, I would probably have been more encouraged to play some of the side stuff, but nope. And then the actual main combat is also really disappointing. I like the idea that you throw a dice, and it gives you, then you can draw whatever cards are equal or less than the amount of that dice, but when you're just trying to get a weapon or a decent weapon, you keep rolling 1s and 2s, and or you keep rolling 1s and you don't have anything that equals that, so you've just got to leave and just do it and run around and get more energy to. a lot of the combat just evolves to running away, shooting a guy from a distance, running away again, shooting him until you get enough energy to build up your dice throw, and then you get the dice throw, you get the weapon you want, and then you just because there's no depth to the combos. You literally just keep mashing on them, you stun lock them, and then the weapon breaks. The weapons break way too easily, which I understand is to incentivize more throwing of the dice, but or like using different strategy, but there's no reason to. You just keep using the weapons. I really love the ideas, but they just don't quite work. It's such a shame. The gameplay of this thing is just weak overall. It's such a shame because I think there are bits of it which really shine through, and the presentation especially is just beautiful, and it's such a good idea. And I think if they made a sequel to this and they polished everything up, they give you a jump button, they let you actually explore these worlds that they have, and they just polish the combat up a little bit, or make it so you just have a basic weapon anyway and you can enhance stuff. I don't know. Or just take out their RNG entirely and just make more of an action game. I don't know. But either way, unfortunately, this beautiful game gets a 4 out of 10. And with that, I'm actually done for my assessment of the year. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you didn't watch this as your primary source of media. I hope you were doing something in the background. But thank you if you did stay till the end. I might do something like this next year, but don't expect any more uploads from me anytime in the future. I'm literally just doing this just as a way to process my thoughts, and just if anyone's interested, they can know they can keep updated with what I've done this year. But overall, I hope you guys have a really a happy new year and all that, and I hope you guys had a good Christmas and holiday season. But that is all from me for now, so thank you very much if you stayed for this long, and I'll see you guys in the future. Goodbye.